Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into our second set of the day. Dolson here on the desk, and alongside of me is Gore to get things kicked off. And Gore, we have an exciting one. Not only do we get to see Envy back in action, but Spacestation Gaming finally have made it. They finally get their first set here.
Have you ever wondered what two best of sevens in a day might look like? Because this is, if any day it's going to happen, this is one of them. The last time these two teams went against each other was the semifinals of HRX at DreamHack, and it was going to be a 7-game set. And the only thing that's really changed from there is that Kresnik is now the coach of SSG instead of having Sadak come in and play as a sub. He's going to be mainstay roster. So they're looking pretty good being able to come into this, but it is still going to be their first week, so, land jitters.
And looking at that roster, you said not much has changed. FRZ God, I mean, one of the tried and trues, one of the big names on this roster, has, a lot of pressure on him. What do you look for from him to get this team started off on the right foot?
Well, naturally, out of this clip, you're going to see a good Leon, but you will never see, and this does not come lightly, I don't think there is a better EV in the world. Like, it is maybe tied, but he is one of the best that we have gotten to see when it comes down to it. Bouncing back and forth maybe between, like, him, Random Noob, but a couple of other players in the Premier League, but he's an incredible blaster player. He brings in a different level of play, and it is one of the few times that I've seen God in a name, and I think it is very, very accurate. Like, he is so good at the game.
And I think one thing that does some good justice to him is that clip is a Leon, followed by an Eevee, followed by a Drogos. Like, he literally can play almost anything at one of the highest levels in the game if he needs to. A tough guy to identify, a tough guy to ban out. One of the best in the world, one of the best on his team. And it's a star-studded roster. I mean, standing out as one of the best on your team in a roster that's like that, it's no small task.
And it was one of those things where, we used to watch them and they were in the PGS. They weren't even able to play in, the Premier League or what was, maybe, I guess, the minor league for North American stuff. But they're scrimming North American teams from Brazil most of the time. They're playing on 200-plus ping, and at the time, like over the summer when we were first looking at them, they're winning these scrims at 200 ping, and they're winning 3-2, 4-2, I guess, against some of these top teams that we had in the PPL. So they have committed to the grind, and being able to showcase, I guess, their skill through all of that has been very impressive.
I mean, even beyond FRZ God, all right, you lock him down, now you got to deal with Ares, another guy on that team who, no matter what, seems to find a way to have some impact on the game, and I think he'll be excited definitely to finally get here. You saw him tweeting out. He's just happy to be here, I think. He'll come out hot, and another guy you have to keep your eyes on.
And this is actually one of the funny things because Ares, if I remember correctly, is the one player that was, I mean, at this point Sadak has kind of been brought in as well, but Sadak was a coach for this team. Sadak had played with, I want to say, like their brother team and what was Nocturne's Gaming about a year ago that you would have recognized. Ares was on a different team in Brazil for a long time, but he was the only one that caused SSG trouble. When they picked him up, it was because they recognized, and they said to him, "You're going to make our team better. And if all 5 of us are playing together, we will work out." And they were absolutely right. Every single LAN they were at last year, they just looked better and better, of course, up until their final match up against Envy when they do go 7 games. And it is just the difference of, I mean, just seconds. Very much like what we just saw, where it's just like whoever wins that last point fight could very much just take home this set.
And I think that's so important to look at is these guys have not been able to play competitive Paladins since losing to Envy in the semifinals. Of course, they've been able to scrim and kind of stay up to date, but it's been a long road for them, and now they get to come out and potentially make a statement in a match like this.
5 months since they were on the stage up against Envy. And it's one of those things, and this is actually one of the sets that I'm looking at because I don't know how SSG are going to perform today. Is it going to be the same performance we saw during their World Championship run where they're playing around? Because at that point, they had already been on LAN for a week. They had been playing for a long time. They'd gotten that experience, like the new meta and the shift that things that had already happened. Whereas now, again, this is very much like what I compared them to Kenga, where Kenga came in week 1 and they did not look good. And then Kenga came in week 2 and they looked phenomenal. I'm kind of curious as to how SSG are going to look.
Well, one guy who knows how they're going to feel is their coach Kresnik, and we have an interview with him standing by.
All right, we are here on the floor with the coach. You may have known him from our High Res Expo desk as well and some of the other lands we've done, Mr. Kresnik of SSG. How's it feel to be back in the building?
Oh, it feels great, especially after, thinking we were going to be here before and then not, but it's awesome to finally be back here in Atlanta.
You had a pretty interesting road yourself, and maybe we'll have a chance to hear and talk more about that, but what we all want to know is, how is the team feeling going into their first week? So many games missed, so many games I'm sure watched from everybody. How are you feeling about this?
I think we're feeling comfortable. We're trying to get back to being here. We were playing at home. People were having internet issues, scheduling, but I think we're feeling comfortable now. We're starting to get back into it, get into the swing. I like to think we're all feeling pretty okay.
What's the impact been of getting here finally in the States, being able to train together, being able to play, being able to give your ideas and input on the team?
Actually being able to play Bomb King is a really nice start, because I don't know if Freeze can attest to it, but that is not a chance.
Do you have someone who could play Bomb King on your team? I don't know.
It's a secret strategy. I don't think I want to talk.
Freeze God's like, me over there. So any last words? How are you feeling going up against Envy? Obviously, they had a tough week last week.
They did, but you never want to underestimate Envy. I mean, of all the teams, think about Vegas. Day one didn't look like a superpower. Day two, who could stop them? We want to get comfortable with being in the studio. Want to do that, so we're gonna do what we can. We're gonna push as hard. I know we can do it. We've been able to get right there before.
All right, well, thank you so much, Kresnik, coach of Spacestation Gaming. Good luck today in the match, and we'll send it back to the desk.
Wise words from the man himself, Kresnik. You can tell the team is feeling confident. They are confident. They're not underestimating Envy, but they don't know, I guess, just yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of saying, well, this is LAN. I mean, this is the PPL. We've been out of it for 5 months, as you said. We're going to try our best and see how we fit in today.
There are two scenarios that I wouldn't want to go up against Envy. And it is when Envy is comfortable on LAN, and it is Envy after they've taken a loss on a LAN. Because when they're comfortable on the LAN, you know that they're going to be able to come in and just plug and play.
Right.
They will know exactly what they're doing. It's not like it's not my setup anymore. It is just, cool, we know where we are. We are comfortable here. We are with each other. We are fans. We are family. And then the other one is when they're on a loss, because when they lose, not only do they take it hard, but they study that loss harder than I think you'll see out of any other team. And it's just that thing, and it comes down to, meta pusher behind them, but the players themselves, they're not happy with a loss. The coach isn't happy with a loss. Every single one of them will turn it up for this set, probably more than it needs to be.
Yeah, and Random Noob, a guy you always have to look at. I know that he had tweeted out a little bit last week that, adjusting to this whole new lifestyle is tough.
Yeah.
He's been away from his family. All these guys have been, and I know that's something that he touched on. I know that he wasn't super thrilled with his performance last week. He'll look to bounce back this week, and you said it well. A motivated Envy is a scary Envy. And Random Noob is no exception from that. He's part of that same mentality, that same mindset. A little smile, as if he knows that we're talking about him, but big impact will come out of Random Noob today.
And if you're looking for the matchup, it is Freeze God versus Random Noob.
Yeah.
It's blaster on blaster. Eevee is going to play a bigger role in this set, very much like what we saw, I would assume, during that World Champion semifinal, because both of them play it at such a high level that it can fit in pretty much any of their drafts.
And another guy, the support, Mr. Hayes. We actually saw him, despite the rough week they had last week. Mr. Hayes actually put out a pretty decent performance, some good Dama ultimates, some good stuns. This is a champion that he's very comfortable on. He's kind of a quiet leader. I think most supports kind of are in a way. You play around the support a lot, but he had some great plays even last week in the tough matches they had. Another guy they'll look to lean on today.
And the one thing I will say about Mr. Hayes, and this is going to be a comparison to Spunky, and it's actually the one thing I think SSG is missing as much, where he is going to make Dread Serpent plays that will change the game for you. His support play is going to affect the flow of your game, and that's something that you have to be very aware of when you're up against a team like Envy or Na'Vi in that case if you're looking at Spunky. Because these two players that, even though, again, you're looking at him and you're like, cool, he's pumping the healing, he's doing his job there, he's going to hit these stunts. He's going to have that utility that, maybe a Maldamba is going to bring to that next level. The reason Maldamba is so high of a pick for him is because the stuns, the Dread Serpent, all of the setup that it can provide is ridiculous. And if SSG aren't prepared to deal with that, it's going to be a big difference.
Well, if he's anything like Spunky, he's going to hit a 3-man Dread Serpent and not even know that it happened, and the rest of the team fight will kind of fall the way it does. Yeah, wait. That was the post-game interview. So, Spunky, how was that 3-man Dread Serpent? What are you talking about? I don't remember that at all. But Mr. Hayes certainly will look to build on his strong performance from last week, turn it into some wins today. But the tried and true coach of Team Envy, Meta Pusher, is standing by for an interview. Let's throw it down to that and hear his thoughts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here in the Envy booth now, across the way from SSG. We're here with the coach, Meta Pusher. Justin, how are you guys doing today?
We're good, ready to, prove that last week isn't the norm for us, that we're improved and we're ready to grind.
So what was the thing that went down last week? Because there were some issues and there had been several tweets mentioning different things and reasons why. What could you boil it down to for people watching, wanting to know what kind of went wrong?
I think it'd be easy to say like we just had an off day, but I think the truth is it's kind of a lack of motivation. When we had been undefeated for as long as we have, it was kind of hard to, keep the rigorous practice stuff that we had throughout the seasons when we were undefeated and when we were winning worlds. But last week really lit a fire under us.
So much of last season was you guys on a crusade to not only get first place for the first time, but to win a world championship. Do you feel like, and in many other words, that has now been reinvigorated with the way NIP has been playing, with obviously Navi still doing really well, Virtus Pro coming out of the woodwork, so to speak?
Absolutely. I feel like we definitely identify, we're back in our underdog position, which that's where we like to be.
Yeah. Now, as we transition into this matchup, you've got SSG. This was the best of 7, semifinal that everyone just loved watching. What do you think today's match is going to bring, and what are you expecting from Spacestation?
I'm hoping for something really good. It's kind of weird, that they've had this delay, so it's odd. We don't really know what to expect, but we talked to them, and we're both down for another best of 7.
You guys are all friends with those guys as well?
Yeah, we're really good friends.
It's really exciting to see it happen. Of course, Kresnik over on the other side, he's a big NA guy as well. I'm sure you all know. Thanks so much for joining us, Justin. Good luck in the matchup today, and to Envy, hopefully you guys get back in winning ways. We'll send it back to the desk and get ready for this match to start.
I think I heard a hype ghost in the background just before the interview started. Like a little woo just kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not sure where that was from. But strong words there from Meta. And I think one thing I want to zone in on is he said, we're kind of back to our underdog ways, which I don't think a lot of people would have expected Envy to feel like coming into this season. Do you view Envy as an underdog still in these situations?
I don't view him as an underdog, but I think, and this is the way they approach every match, and I think it's the appropriate way. Anybody can win against anyone here.
Yeah,
and that is exactly
true.
How you have to treat it. Like, NIP is definitely the top dog right now, but SSG, even though they're coming in for their first week of play and maybe things are going to feel shaky for them, can still push you not only 7 games, they could still beat you 4-0.
Right.
And next week they could lose to you 4-0. Like, it can shift in the matter of a week with the way the league is going. The teams are too strong. You can't underestimate anybody.
I mean, 2 powerhouse organizations in the field of Paladins looking to make a statement here today. Envy, I mean, they had a rough week last week, and I think that's an understatement. I mean, losing essentially 8 maps straight. So this, even still, I think this is almost a must-win. They need to find a win here this week, because if you have a mirror from last week, morale can go downhill. What we know they did, they probably took a step back, had a nice calm weekend as a team, got back to scrimming when the week recommenced, maybe mentally refreshed, feeling it again. So I expect strong things from Envy here today. I'm sure everyone does. But picks and bans, pretty standard across the board. Space Station Gaming. Starting off with the Barrack pick, so that's a pretty strong frontliner that we are frequently seeing coming out as pick number 1 now.
And that to me just showcases the one thing that I think is true. Not only is Kresnik, but I think the rest of Space Station Gaming have been keeping their eyes on what's been going on these last 3 weeks and looking at what champions are going to play a big role in this. And I think Envy might be remembering something about their counterparts as well, because Ruckus in, I think, any other matchup would probably never be a first pick. Might be something that you want to prioritize, but definitely not at the top. But between the 2 teams, Rubu loves running it. I think Tulki has it in his wheelhouse. But Sadak made a huge difference for SSG playing this champion. So taking that away from them does kind of put SSG at a deficit.
And Envy definitely took notes on the pip from last week. They had to deal with it. And this time, they're going to potentially have practiced it and have it in their wheelhouse now. Presumably over onto the side of Random Noob there. The Pip is suddenly rocketed himself up into one of the more contested champions. Even in the last set, paying 3 games in a row, picked up that champion, felt comfortable enough to essentially carry the games that he was in. And Envy being privy to that, picking up the Pip here in this game, and getting Rubu on your comfort pick, Ruckus, I think is a good start for them. Meantime, on the opposite side, you get the Genis Leon. So not a weak start by any means from Space Station.
I think the one thing I'm interested to see in this set, and I think the one thing that can make a big difference, Pip, is going to be something that Envy can bring in because Random Noob has played it in the past. I don't know if FreezeGod has a Pip available in his champion pool immediately.
Right.
Like, obviously, he'll be able to pick it up as the weeks go on, but if today that is going to make a big difference for them, if not having Pip means that they have to start spending a ban on it, that will open up some champions for Envy to maybe reach a little bit deeper, things like the Cassie or maybe that Khan that they have banned out for this game.
You know what he does have in his champion pool?
Yes.
Is a Drogos.
Yes.
He does certainly have that in his back pocket. And what a treat for us to potentially see this. And it looks like we are going to see this right off the bat. FreezeGod taking the Drogos away, trying to get things off to a heavy start here. You see 10 champions locked in here, Gore. How do you feel about both sides?
I actually think I like Space Station Gaming a lot more. I think not only do they have the Luminary boost for the Leon and the Drogos, but there's no hit scan on Envy. No one could truly take them down. Like, Xin Yomi strikes can do it, but I don't know if they're going to be enough.
You get the comfort pick on the Ruckus, though. This is a big week for both teams. You have Space Station and Envy both needing a win here. Let's send it down to your casters to get it underway.
Well, thanks a lot, Dave and Gore. Rain Day and Pretty Air here to cast the last set of today's PPL, but we still got a day tomorrow, so if you are catching us on the back end of the broadcast, know that these teams, all teams play today, will be playing on Friday as well, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. One of the great things about this, though, Nick, is we get to see that storied matchup continue, that best of 7 that went the way of Envy, that resulted in a world championship. Now we get to see the rematch.
There is, I mean, it's SSG's first game. There is a lot riding on this. Envy have been in a slump, and now it's like,
ooh,
yes, they've had good matchups in the past against SSG, but at this point, if you're losing to the team that's like still just trying to, you know, go get their groceries, get the visas, lock down the rent, like they're just getting here. And if you're already in a slump and then you lose to the guys that just showed up,
they're like, hey, you guys playing Paladins? Can we play? Yeah.
It's almost like there could be, you know, a collapse there, like of really of the Envy mentality. But at the same time, you're right. They have had incredibly competitive sets against these guys in the past.
I think mentally this means a lot for both teams. If it was Space Station on the winning side, it'd be huge. If it was Envy on the winning side, it would be very big for them because they cannot be on the losing side. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a very, very scary line of thought that would be following that. Big couple of rockets from FreezeGod. He's known as one of the best in the world. The first time we're being able to see him here in the studio since last year. And a little bit earlier before, I'd say even November. And the rocket's still flying, but he's getting pressured out.
He's got one of the best storylines, I think, probably in the PPL and Paladins history. All that he had to kind of do and the pressure he had to be under to be here today in America at such a young age is a great thing to kind of follow along with. And a good first kill there on Narubu. He's got Random Noob trapped in a corner, and Sadak will go ahead and help him out.
And Nick, the way they played this was pretty clean. I mean, FreezeGod didn't die at all. He had the healing. He's got the Genos, the damage amp, and Rubu maybe overextended there, or maybe just didn't expect all the pressure from Sadak, who's just one of the best to ever do it in the international Paladin scene.
Both good drafts here as well. 63% on the objective and climbing for Space Station Gaming. Team Envy right now on the back foot. They're trying to win this little take-back fight. No shield available for Sadak, and he is in a bit of a precarious spot.
Finally, FreezeGod goes down, though. That is a big deal, and Random Noob is going to take down Ares as well. Sadak is up, trying to charge the ultimate. He's got the shoulder bash. A lot of battering ram plays we've seen as Richao steps off the point, and Sadak will finally fall. Rock Monkey and Rubu on the objective, and this is most likely going to be Richao falling as well. Envy back in control.
Let's talk about how this feels like a comfortable Space Station draft and a little bit of a stretch for Team Envy.
Right.
The Random Noob Pip is not unheard of, but not in a while have we seen it. Pip has definitely been the come-up champion in the past week, as well as Rock Monkey on Xin. That's normally played by Random Noob for this squad.
And you can see the Hexafire, the ultimates, they are coming through. Space Station Gaming, to navigate this, it would take a phenomenal manipulation of space and time, maybe a little bit more. And because of the Evil Mojo, it kind of seals the deal. Rock grabs 2, and Envy, they go ahead in map 1.
There it is. That's a good start for them for sure. Great little take-back fight as well. They had to earn this one.
They
It
did
did not come easily. And that just kind of shows you the character of this Team Envy team fight, that even if things don't go great immediately, they know how to operate winning or losing with this composition and sort of deal with any cards that Space Station are going to look to deal then.
Well, what's unfortunate here is you see, oh, beautiful play there as well, just to be able to stay alive, stabilize, and keep this high ground. He goes off it because he sees there's a kill available, and the Billow is here. Rubu wants to maybe help out with the miniguns, but he's not going to be able to, and it's going to be Aries and Sadak who control that left side. Meanwhile, there's a sneaky little Inara
Yeah, wait, what?
for Team Envy.
Let me see that loadout.
Yeah.
How did he get up?
He's got to have some summit here, and he
5.
Yeah,
He
summit
took
5.
Evan's advice.
There you go,
He said
boy.
4? 4 will not do. A 20-minute game? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I need to go at least 5 feet above the ledge I'm trying to land on here. And he certainly has. Freeze God, better watch out for these stones. They hurt, I'm telling you.
Oh, definitely. It's, what, 750 or something like that?
675, yeah.
675's a lot of damage from Inara. It will sneak up on you if you kind of just let it go. It's as much as a Barrack with the Luminary hits plus 25 damage if Tolkien can connect
Nice
all
ball.
3 of these pellets. It's one of the harder weapons to kind of use super, super effectively, especially at these types of ranges. Maybe practice in Realm Royale, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. That's a great way to get good at Leon's little weapon, though, for sure. That's still in there.
Yeah. It is, but it's projectile.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. We're getting lost in some thoughts that could have gone a lot of different ways. Aries here using a little bit of Manifest Destiny since we're looking at loadouts. It'd be great for our viewers to see what he's rocking because that level 4 of Manifest Destiny makes that dash that much faster. The reason is in Leon, she basically goes the same amount of time to dash no matter what. So if you extend the distance, then she covers that extra distance just as fast as she would have a shorter distance. So therefore, she kind of does it faster, right? Essentially.
This is a bit of a stray from the norm in terms of the Eminence Leon levels. There's none of that sustain in there. You know, a lot of Leons are getting 400 health back, sometimes 500 health for every one of their presences, and you get 2 or 3 of these off in a fight.
And he's actually running 40% cooldown reduction, which is more than you need to be able to get the full reset on an Eminence, especially if you get a kill off of it.
Look at that heal.
Good stuff from Random Noob, though. There's just no way you can take 1v1s. That's what we talk about. Explosive Flask actually misses. Metal goes for a through time in space, almost connects. And Sadak maybe bought a little bit of time, but it looks like things are melting here for Space Station.
Definitely a little bit of collapse if our Z-God trying to bring it back here. One more rocket is going to be good for a triple.
Are you kidding me? A quadra kill. FRZ God saying hello to America. He is back, and he is not going to be outdone.
I love it. Great top damage round,
9 and
9-2.
2.
What a way to get it started here for the young man himself, FRZ God. What a performance on Drogos. This is critical as well. NIP, after their win over Team Envy, I asked them, like, what was kind of one of the keys? They said, you know, Drogos, it's a big pick for them. Drogos carries this Team Envy team, and if SSG can take it away and do this and carry themselves with it, it's not the conversation of, oh, do we ban it? Is it worth banning? Do we take this away just to get it off of them? No, it's not. We're taking this away from them, and we're going to pop off with it.
Well, this seems already, Nick, to be a contested matchup. I mean, no team is giving an inch without it being earned on both sides, and that goes for the points as well. Already getting off with the thrusters. He's got survival, a little bit of repel. Rain of Fire's been pretty common for the Wormjet side. Rock Monkey a little isolated. I think a win here is if you just force the Billow, and they are going to do that very soon. And now he doesn't have it for another 14 seconds once he gets out. That should be big. SSG looking to make a move. There's Evil Mojo as well, Nick, but Sadak's going to stay alive.
How did that not hit Rubu? That's my question there. I don't know how he manages to stay out of the polymorph, but FRZ God, no one's looking at him.
Oh, my.
This is Wormjet Drogos this season.
Oh, my.
You just forget he's there.
Oh, my. But I'm not seeing everybody do that on Wormjet Drogos, Nick. There's something about FRZ God that's a little different. He's getting triples and quadras against Team Envy.
He goes to the left side, down to the sundial, to stop Rock Monkey's flank that was allowed. They knew it was coming, but they just sort of like let it happen, which happens sometimes with flankers. That's just kind of how it is. He makes that rotation to stop him, and then maybe just comes from a side of the map that Team Envy aren't wholly aware of. Maybe they were tunneled on something else. Aries does go down here. Sadak. This feels a lot like last point fight, but this time there's a Dragon Punch.
And one of the greatest things he got out. There's not enough pressure from Envy in any regard to allow Drogos to die afterwards. It's a 12 streak. This is the only moment where FRZ God could be in trouble. They're going to try to finish him off. You know it. But look how high he is. Rock Monkey looking to get bursted. The counter actually hits. Oh, the spike mid-air. Rock Monkey shuts down FRZ God in the most cinematic way.
Wow, what the theatrics on this point are incredible stuff from Team Envy just to hang on. They're not out of the woods yet. 81% over Space Station Gaming and climbing, trying to get themselves back in. The touch will come. We will see an overtime.
Oh my god, he hit the Yomi as well. Rock Monkey is popping off. The counter hit first to set up that spike kill for FRZ God, but he's got to continue. The Dome Shield to stabilize things. Sadak, he's close to going down, but 85% on the ultimate is 13% away from a very big problem. Aries, though, he finds a Quadra himself. The boys from Brazil are here.
They came to play. There is no rust in these joints. My goodness, Space Station off to the races here. Fun loadout as well. All of those eliminations mean, remember, he's running 40% cooldown reduction on Elim with this loadout, so he is going to be slipping and sliding.
Oh man, Nick, I mean, luckily they got those two. One of the things that was the difference was there just was no kill on the Evil Mojo to start that round out. It went on to Sadak, but they couldn't find any pressure off of it. And it seems that this Pip, I mean, the execution on it is really the difference maker here.
Yeah, that's definitely something to look at. Again, touched on this earlier in the game, but this is, you know, a bit of a switch up from the norm for Team Envy. They don't play a ton of Grover. They don't really play much Pip anymore, but that has to change, I think, in the PPL. I think everyone's got to start looking at this character and be like, I think we need this in the wheelhouse.
I know. I mean, it was like such a funny story where I finally, after saying Mr. Hayes played, he loves Pip. At 3 years later, 2 years later, I mean, we went to their house to do some interviews, and they're like, you gotta stop saying that. He hasn't played Pip for like 2 years. I don't know where you're getting that from. And then Pip comes into the meta, and they don't play Pip, and so now they've got to work it in, which is actually, it's just, the irony was just so funny on the timing of all that.
Yep. Now it's come full circle.
You wish I was right.
Certain. And 1 minute, 4 seconds now left in this round. Whirlwind comes out to try to keep the glue here together for Team Envy, and it will result in the first kill going their way.
And this is good pressure from Rubu. He's going to be able to meld all these shields, and he knows what to do in these situations. But
Play
he's
like a
getting
pro.
pressured from a lot of places. Midtow doing some good damage and allowing Aries as well to pop off with some bursts. I'd love to see these damage numbers here as well, as we do see 20,000 from the Genos, just 10 minutes gone by. That's pretty good. Grover's still much, much more comparable to some of the other damage dealers.
I mean, if you want to stack it up that way, like Barrick is technically the point tank for this SSG roster. He's far above Inara.
Right.
Ash is right on the heels of Rubu's Ruckus. I mean, you just saw the chart. Leon and Drogos are country miles ahead of where Zen and Pip are sitting. Damage is not everything, but damage certainly helps you achieve your goals.
So much of this, too, in this meta, Nick, has relied on Zen as a flex. It's one of Rock Monkey's kind of when the champ pool has fallen out, because he does play that Andro. He does play this Zen. Those are more of his backup champs, essentially, besides the bow characters and the Kinessa. You know, with Zen getting kind of that semi-nerf in the next patch. It'll be interesting to see, but meanwhile, as we're speculating, Space Station are getting the job done. 3-1, it feels like a walk. And they're 1 point away from winning.
Wowee. And a good KD, and I do want to touch on what's happening to Zen. And it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to a character. It's you still have a way to build into Billow speed and stuff like that, but you're just, time in Billow is definitely important. The new card that's coming in to replace Time and Billow isn't too bad either. It feels like just it's a little bit harder to pull off and actually leverage.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. It's definitely not a bad loadout card to have, and I am very curious. I want to watch Zen closely after these nerfs.
He just can't do the same, like, now I'm on the point for 5 extra seconds, and you can't get me off. Like, you could keep being on the point, you know, fast. You can go around in circles of the point, like,
we have
very
to have
quickly.
a farewell tour of Countries In.
We do. We need a Countries In farewell tour. Maybe that'll be in the meme video when that no longer is there.
That'll make me sad.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
Unfortunate. Rock Monkey's played pretty lights out, even though being against the pressure of this FRZ god Drogos in the air. But he's got to make a play again if MV want a chance to win here.
There it is. Aries low, but he's safe in the backline right now. Rock Monkey not wanting to get too aggressive right now, and why would you? You have the fast cap Team Envy. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Might just back off.
I think he's... Yeah. And that's what you do. You just back off the Inara, you force people to move, and you see what you can get from it, because Drogo's still alive. He's still doing enough. That's 1 Dragon Punch for you because he takes a tank out. That's 2 because he takes Rock Monkey out and saves a teammate. This could be 3 because he finishes him off with the Fire Spit, and all of Envy are running away from the Dragon. Another Quadra kill. That's 2 in this game.
It's been a quad 3 in total. Aries got 1 as well. I mean, what is happening to Team Envy, and we talk about this a lot, Evan, but I felt it there. I saw Random Noob looking up at Drogos being like, like the Kevin Hart noise, like, he wasn't, I can't do anything.
I wasn't ready.
Like, no one can shoot him. Like, nobody has a great answer for FRZ God right now.
And do you have an answer for this? The Dragon Punch, I don't think so. Take me out of the skies, he says. I dare ya. SSG take game 1 over Envy.
And game 1 is going to be a big one because you're right. Envy come into today saying, we got to win this. And it's not going to be a big deal if we win. It's going to be business as usual and as expected, I think. But you have to remember the Game 7 semifinal from the World Championship.
Yeah.
Yes, SSG has not been here practicing and grinding, and that has proved so valuable for Kanga, for Virtus Pro. It has proved to be crucial for those teams. The fact that they don't have it and still won is really what speaks volumes.
Well, so much to break down after game 1. Some electric plays, and let's send it back to Dave and Gore.
Got one word for you, Gore. Well, I guess it's kind of 2, but freeze God.
He doesn't spell it with a space. It's one word.
Freeze God.
He
double,
was good.
Double quadra that game. Had a triple as well. Unfortunately, didn't round the bases with a single or a double or a penta, but he'll take it. He'll take it.
Who needs it? You know, when you get 2 quadras, you can feel pretty good. I mean, after like 9-2-1 leaving that first round, that's when you know it's going to be a threat. And again, it was the thing I wanted to highlight, I guess, going into it. It's a Drogos with a Luminary boost. He has no hit scan going up against him. Like, there was a point Rock Monkey hits a spite into him while he's in midair and gets the kill for it, and it's like so
wild.
theatrical.
Right.
It looks amazing. But how many of those are you going to get in a game? How many of those are you going to get in a set? One, I guess, if you're Envy here. I don't expect to see something like that again. It's the 122,000 damage. It's the Drogos. That was a pretty big problem, but I think it comes down to it.
5.
The rest of the team gave him the room he needed.
They did, and you look at
Wormjets.
and Wormjets. The top 3 damage dealers all on the side of Space Station, but even deeper than that, look at how far separated it was. Rubu had 10,000. Rubu was the top damage dealer for Envy, and he had 10,000 less than the 3rd highest damage dealer on the side of Space Station. They just didn't have an answer this game. Freeze God. I mean, the question was, are we going to be able to come out here fresh off of all of our travels and come out here and make a big statement? And that was about as big of a statement, I think, as you can make.
That very handedly came down to not only showing that we are not affected by the fact that we haven't been here, but even though it's been technically 5 months since we played against Envy on a stage kind of like this, it has not made a single difference in our play. Like, we have done nothing but continue that grind, keep getting better. And that's another thing, is this team has stuck together. This is the same roster that came through and played then. So you could kind of expect them to create a lot of room. Of course, if you have Freeze God popping off like this, it makes it a lot easier for the rest of the team to look good, because you don't have to worry about it when you have a 19-5 Drogos on your team.
That's kind of the anecdote you brought up, is like, they were doing huge things with like 200 ping.
Yeah.
And now, week after week, they get to come in here on 0 ping and show us what they got. I think, I don't know, I never want to count Envy out, but they need to start getting something rolling in their favor. That was a 4-3. I mean, that was a close game 1. It's not like they got blown out of the water. You had the Drogos just running you up and down. I mean, a lot was going against Envy. That would have been a tough one for them to somehow win, and they still made it a 4-3 game. I think they need to now just start to build some momentum, similarly to how we saw Renegades do in the last set, except, you know, before falling a little bit short. They're going to just take away the Drogos. But you were talking about it. He could, all right, take my Drogos, I'll go play Eevee.
Eevee is, I think, is going to be the big pick here. Whether or not Envy want to grab it first is going to be a very big question. But I think one of these 2 teams is going to be bringing it in. I'm not sure if Space Station are going to look maybe for a Bomb King over the Eevee. How they're going to kind of dance around for it because of, I guess, their personal priorities. But again, and then this is going to make a big difference. Obviously, we have a video with Rubu talking about Ruckus. He loves this champion. But the same thing can be said for Sadak. I think if you were going to plug someone else to play that, there's like 2 other people who could play it. It'd be Sadak and Phoenix. So being able to have that be a very high pick, then have the Blasters be a very high pick, like champion pools across the hallway for these guys right now, across the booths, is going to overlap very heavily.
And it looks like Eevee is going to be pick number 2 in the first round here for Spacestation. So, we said it. You take away the Drogos, you give him the Eevee. That's just as scary. And now Envy have to question, do we want to try to throw a sniper out on this map? Do we even want to? Do we even want to when you have the Eevee blinking in and out, doing damage to you? That almost eliminates that. I mean, we saw Invocal today do huge things against an Eevee, so it's not a clear cut. Don't play it into Eevee, but it makes it harder.
I think we're going to see maybe less sniper focus and maybe more Leon focus, Cassie focus.
Sure.
Because both of those, at least in this instance, if you're Envy, like Leon can fight against Eevee very easily and kind of supply the same damage that you would expect her. A little less overall, but mostly the same damage you'd expect out of a Kinessa on this map. So you can kind of put her right into the role. Of course, Rock Monkey loves playing her, so it's not going to be a huge difference for them. They grabbed their Inara for Tulki, so they've got a comfortable front line. They've got Rock Monkey on something that is going to be not only a good counter for Eevee, but something he's comfortable on. And I think that's a very good start, but you get an Eevee Genos, which makes it a lot more difficult to lock her down, and potentially a Cassie in there as well.
Form up and follow me.
It's going to be the Ashe. Now Envy have their last 2 picks, so they need to find an answer here for this Eevee. Obviously, the non-blastery champion still yet to come out here for Spacestation. Healer and damage dealer needed on the side of Envy. I mean, which route do you look for Random Noob here? I mean, what's still available? I guess they're going to answer that question with a Xin.
Yeah.
We saw it already, but it was on Rock Monkey last time because Random Noob was on the Pip. So now although I guess we've seen both guys kind of play both champions, so that could go to either one.
Well, I think that this one's definitely going to be Random Noob, and I think Random Noob has it a little bit more comfortable in his wheelhouse. This is a good draft from Envy. It definitely plays to their comfort picks, but the one thing they don't have that we have out of SSG is really just going to be the difference that Eevee makes. If we see Rock Monkey locking down that Eevee most of the time, then Space Station Gaming don't get that presence, but she is going to traverse the high ground very easily. She's going to be able to do that way more often than Xin. Her shots are going to be just as deadly as Xin, if not even more deadly because of a Luminary boost. So that matchup and whether or not Rock Monkey can consistently keep Freeze God locked down, I think is going to play probably the biggest role throughout this entire map.
Is that your way of saying on paper you give it to Space Station?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I think big game Cassie counters out the Inara and the Ruckus. I think the Eevee is going to cause a lot of trouble for anybody else under the sights.
Well, Envy need to find some momentum and get it going in their favor. Space Station, well, they've already found their momentum. They found game number 1. Let's dive into game number 2 with your casters.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's time to get in the Splitstone Quarry, and they're betting on Freeze God's Eevee this time around. Well, it feels like the lights are going on for Envy, as if maybe they're trying to force them away from the big dragon that has made the big difference thus far.
Certainly, and now is this a slug shot from Sadak on Ashe? This is not a talent we have seen at any point this year. Minor League, Concert League, Premier League especially.
4.
We can talk about it. It makes you don't explode. Your shots don't explode in that AoE, but they go much, much further, and you get basically all or nothing. You either hit the shot, which is still a very big projectile. Still is one of the easier autos to hit in the game, but you do give up the around line of sight explosion idea.
Yeah, but it's still, look at this, Rock Monkey forcing the bill already. Or is that Random Noob who's actually playing him? I think it is. Random Noob switching roles a little bit here, and Leon going to Rock this time around. And he got up on top. Good Yomi strike as well. This should be a kill. He kind of got baited by that, though, and he might make it out of this if he has the sword, and he does.
There it is, 60% on the objective for Space Station Gaming. The Eevee finding the pressure that it was certainly looking for, but now they have to answer this question. This Inara is walking at them, but Rubu is really kind of nowhere nearby as well. He's definitely looking like he wants to play some bodyguard action.
And Tulki here with a good wall. It's going to shut down any of the kind of poke and prod that FRC guy is going to bring to the table. And Rechallenge Space Station so smartly give up the point. It is their 6th man. They know Tulki has to stand there so they can take an advantage fight somewhere else. It's what some of the best teams do. And this is what they're trying to find now. Big game's already working for Ares, and Rechal picks up the kill on Tulki.
That's a big, big part of this team fight there. 1v1 in the backline. FRZ God takes down Random Noob as well. Space Station Gaming coming in hot today. They are just that good.
Oh my. and you know that this one is going the way of SSG. Beautiful just awareness of this fight. They're playing like such a well-organized team, Nick, and they've always been. And I think that you have to also give some credit to Kresnik as well. One of the greater minds in Paladins, even though he wasn't really the pro player that had popped off the way Rock Monkey had. Very consistent in our minor leagues. And also, oh man, I just had to stop you right there mid-conversation, I think. And the double kill, triple kill, are you kidding me? Don't you dare get another Quadra, FRZ God. Almost doesn't let him back home.
That's a billow you're not going to have that next patch. Just you wait, Rock.
Just you wait.
Oh, man, that's awesome stuff.
You're right.
They're playing so well right now. It's crazy to see the big game, so much value. Eevee, so much value. They're playing, you're right, giving up the point. They don't have a throughput healer. They have Genos right now. That's not how we're going to play this one. Ultimate's ready, but utter lockdown for Sadak.
And I think that's the right call, and I think that's where Envy can win this. They have to get Sadak off. You could tell that his experience, I mean, Sadak has been there, done that. He's been to more semifinals in World Championships than anybody on the side of Envy. And so he knows what he's doing. And he is a very spiritual leader for this squad, emotional leader as well. And when he's alive creating space, I mean, you talk about Phoenix, you talk about, I mean, the way Diggy's playing, Sadak's got to be considered in that conversation.
Yeah, and pulling out the slug shot as well. It's definitely a new note, but on Splitstone Quarry, you don't have a lot of those short lines of sights to play with. He's poking at people from very, very long distances.
And Rock Monkey trying to find damage on the backside of things, man, but it's just been so tough. The angle Spacestation are playing, the lethality that they're showing, and then the distraction when FRZ comes around, you can tell it's just one of those situations when you have a guy at this level and you try to do anything else but fight him one-on-one with all your intention.
Certainly.
I mean, that's where things get bad.
Definitely, definitely. Now the question is starting to pose itself. There are ultimates coming back up. Only 30 seconds left in the round. Team Envy don't want to put themselves out where they're stripped for cash in the next round. They have nothing to work with. But Spacestation Gaming are kind of in that corner as well. And I have to say, overall,
wow, good
I feel
idea.
better about the suite of ultimates from Team Envy than I do for Spacestation. So if they can survive this team fight, they'll be in a great spot.
I mean, the
round.
punishment, Nick, it's immediate. This is literally like, you stay out home, out late after curfew, and your parents are literally sitting at your front door, 2 chairs pulled up saying, we know you've been out, and we were waiting for you to come home. FRZ got no breaks from him.
Tolkien does such a good job stalling out the payload there. Incredible work. And he buys time for every single member to be respawned from Team
And the
Envy.
Dread Serpent.
Another fear there. Sadak will definitely be buying resilience.
I guess that's what you got to give credit to, the fact that Envy and Mr. Hayes have given 2 Dread Serpents in that defense on the back end of it. That's earned them this point. I don't think, aside from that, they probably don't get it. Now they don't have it for the next fight, but it's at least bought them around to start thinking about how do we address the situation here.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough question to ask. You don't want to go going down 1 game off the gate. Losing game 1 is definitely a very important one in this set because SSG, again, this is their first game of the Premier League, so they're looking for momentum. They're looking for something to really get them fired up about what is a very tough matchup for them. They're going against the reigning world champions who are in a slump. This is almost like the beast is wounded right now. This is where we can strike and we can get a dub today.
And that's why it's so hard for Envy, because everyone is realizing we need to give our best moment now. Like, we could take a win now versus when they're full cylinder swinging, 6 weeks from now. This is important for us to get the spot that we need at Landon. Oh, 1 shot gets 2 people, and now Random Noob already forced into his billow. We've seen how deadly that can be. And now he's got 14 seconds of really not being very safe here, and Tolkien walking into a little more damage than he would have expected.
There's 4 people.
It's a full
5
rotation.
people. It's everyone from Team Envy. SSG are winning and capping.
What? I think they just tried to rotate Nick harder and group up, but it ended up not working out in their favor. Rubu gets deleted thanks to the through time and space.
Ash just pops the ultimate, and Sadak's like, okay, now what? You have nothing to displace me out of this. I'm going to sit here for 8 seconds and laugh at you.
This is looking like a very, very disproportionate fight. The control has always been on the side of Spacestation Gaming. After the seismic crash, he waits, throws the dome shield up. Rachao playing the point tank perfectly. And SSG 93% counting, and they back off a little bit.
Tolkien's under so much pressure. This big game Cassie is a thorn in his side. I just don't know the amount of damage he's pouring out. Let's look at the damage charts. I want to see multiple people. Look at Sadak. That's what I wanted to know. I'm like, is this slug shot really paying him? It's uptime. You're able to fight from all different types of ranges, longer lines of sights. You can use this talent to make yourself relevant in fights you wouldn't otherwise have a say in.
You know, and Aries, we have to give a conversation about him. I mean, this man has been playing a lot of different roles for this team. And when we last, you know, kind of saw him more towards the qualifying side of things, he was playing a lot of the flex and kind of the off tank.
Yeah.
And the ability for him to transition so well onto DPS.
What was that?
It was a whiffed, it was a
Try to
whiffed
catch
spike,
an Eevee,
clearly.
probably?
Yeah, might have.
He went straight up and came straight back down. I have to imagine he was trying to take FRZ out of the sky, but man, quick on the blink back there. It looks like he got himself out.
Couple of moments here, 1 minute 30 still to push this, and they're right where they kind of finished last round. They are aware of the Dread Serpent. Can we see some of the items as well? See, is anybody itemized into that? Resilience has come out. Force it
hit by it.
Force it off specifically, and through time and space. Oh my god, Mitao grabs 2 with the ultimate. That should do, Pig. That should do. There's no way Tolki, without a healer, can sustain this one. It's a double.
Oh my god. I was going to talk about resilience, but then Mitao just snipes 2 people, and maybe that's part of it.
All smiles.
Normally they just collapse on Sadak and kill him.
Yeah.
But he popped out of resilience. Great counter to the follow-up. Support ultimates are so good at countering support ultimates.
Yep.
Like, you all want to group up and just crush the team fight after a massive CC goes off, but the laser beam just punishes it.
Convergence into a Dread Serpent. No, you're all running away.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I think there's just such a strong synergy I'm seeing between this team. Like they almost are picking up where they left off, which is what's so remarkable about watching this gameplay. Feels like they haven't missed a beat. In fact, they're better.
No language barrier.
No language barrier. That's true.
I mean, honestly, nobody struggles with a language barrier, thankfully, in Paladins. The comms, you know, Hecate and Virtus Pro, that's the closest thing we have to that, and even they're like, nah, it's simple enough.
Oh,
look at this, straight to the back line, right up
goodness.
the gut.
A double stun, Nick. He got value from that. Tolki's literally 30% health, so all the attention has to go to him, which means Rock can't get any of that. Sadak bounces Rubu away, and he just shifts to the bottom. Rubu going down on the side as well, forced to emitter, Nick. And Random Noob in the chaos gets to the back line and finds the healer.
Surprised they're able to turn this one around. FRZ God is looking for blood into the ice block. He's in trouble. Tolki's found 2. Tolki's done a good job keeping this one together. Rochelle finds one. Shield goes up, but the angle is there for Ruben.
And that's a dome shield. What can Sadak do? Nothing. Envy finally have control over the point. They have won this team fight wholeheartedly. And SSG, though, still have a chance.
Close, yeah. Dome shield is it. That's versus Enlightenment and Spite. Dread Serpent might be up. If this drags on, 40% is not otherworldly to grab for Mr. Hayes, but I'm looking at the Dome Shield because that's all SSG have to work with.
Sadak is just forcing Rubu back. It's isolating Tolki. That's the big issue. Now he has to stand off. You know that the Dome Shield just went down, and so they backed off again. And who's going to touch? This time Envy playing the patient game, but it's FRZ God versus Random Noob in the corner. Not able to watch that fight yet. FRZ God blinks back in. Doesn't want to get too aggressive.
They're fighting an Earth and Guard, Evan. They're just not doing damage to Tolki right now. I don't know if that's the trade they want. Ares finds it after the buff wears off. Overtime is still going.
Gotta get on there. Double kill from Ares. Oh, looking to make it a triple, but Rubu with the rockets clutches up. Now the emitter is falling. He goes down. Sadak gets traded out with Random Noob, and it's overtime. But hey, who's here? FRZ God, but Random Noob shuts him down. Mitao is trying to fight against a Rock Monkey who is literally 1 health, and the Billow has been used. Tolki's back, but so is Rachao, and I think this is going the way of Envy ever so slightly.
Yeah, nicely done there by Envy. Random Noob does a good job stalling it out. Ash Ultimate, hold the phone.
Wait a second.
99%, it's fully charged.
Triple stun as well. The knockoff could have done something, and he cannot look at Ash. She is completely damage immune, trying to go for it, and the CC will break here, and there are so many members low through time and space, can't save it, and Envy are going to capture the objective. The chaos is nearly unsolvable.
All of that, though, to win a comeback mechanic point from Team Envy?
Wow.
I mean, that seems like a bit much, don't you think?
It seems like a bit much.
I mean, goodness gracious, that's such a war. Normally, Team Envy feels like without comeback mechanic, they can squash people on the objective. They have such a good comp for it. With the Inara, with the great rotations, the Earthen Guard, a throughput healer as well. It doesn't feel like Space Station should be the ones leading the charge on the objective capture.
And so many little things too, Nick. I mean, the impact of Rock Monkey staying alive with what had to be like 5 health to his name, and it wasn't just a 1v1 because Random Noob very quickly did have to leave the point. He was out of resources, and Genos does a decent amount of damage. But then you see just, I think, the ability for them to attack the Inara at the perfect time where her damage reduction was up. If it was a different time, she might have fallen faster.
Yeah, definitely. Tolki does Pokey's really the guy that I'm kind of looking at for Team Envy right now, who I am still like happy with his performance. The fears have definitely been good. It's tough to like commend the support in a losing match, but I think, you know, Hayes has been there. He's doing fine, and he's a big part of why Tolkien's able to do his job effectively.
Right.
Hexafires haven't been great. Rock Monkey and Random haven't quite looked themselves, especially when compared to the DPS backline of SSG, and Tolkien's really the one that's standing tall for the moment.
Ooh, and look at this. I mean, Sadok's so aggressive, man, and it just works out. He already got the angle where Mr. Hayes would want to retreat to, so there was no solace for him. The Ice Storm as well comes out, but Rock does make Sadok pay. Aries here looking to take this battle. He's got him to about 750. Hits the spray. Two great DPS players going up against each other, but the shot's been missed. Rock is known for his patience, and he's just going to tactically win that one.
Clean, nicely timed dash as well, but FRZ finds one on the front side of this fight. 38 on the clock. Important choke, kind of already broken by Envy, kind of, sort of. This is a critical moment for SSG because they've been on offense. Offense again. Now they have to switch to defense, and they've shown, like, okay, we're not going to get blown out here.
Oh, man. I mean, in Rock, he was in touch with such a tough spot as well. I mean, you could see the damage go off of his health bar, and he's just like, what is happening? And you find out it's FRZ God blinking back in on you. It must be a nightmare to play against this guy. And we all know who's ever had the privilege of queuing up with him, either competitively or casually. 5 seconds left.
We used to all be safe up here in the NA queues.
I don't know anymore, man.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. This is scary.
It's a big pick, though. Rock Monkey finds Aries. Random Noob diving in the back line as well, but he will lose his life for it.
You know, Nick, what we're not really talking a lot about is it looks like this is not going to go through, but things are slowly but surely possible for Envy as long as they can keep Mr. Hayes alive and keep the sustain happening here.
Ooh, that was a critical kill. I think if that kill went Envy's way, then maybe, but you're right. They're losing steam a little bit.
Yeah, I think that might do it there because the firepower is gone, and now you just have to isolate the tank. But Eevee, man, these shots are hitting so hard from FRZ God because of the Genos. It's something we, you know, sometimes don't account for, but it really is this damage amp that's making her so deadly.
Big damage amp, as well as the fact that he is good enough, and that's why Eevee's so fun, is because, like, if you are connecting the mid-range shots that you are then blinking in and following up on, then you're the setup and the follow-through. You don't need anybody else's help to do what you want to do. You don't need a sniper to tee up the kill for you, and that's where you become very dangerous.
You're Calvin Harris and Rihanna at that point. You're the DJ and the vocalist. Imagine. Unbelievable.
It's tough. It is a tough thing to deal with, especially with the Genos combination. That makes the sustain. Eevee already has good sustain. Eevee already does good damage.
That's
you make
true.
both of the problems that are already tough to deal with worse.
That's true. And at this point,
The Blue Ranger build. I don't think I've ever seen it.
the Blue Ranger build.
Is there a
FRZ
Blue
God.
Power Ranger? There has to be a Blue Power Ranger.
Yeah, I think there has to be. You can't really skip over blue.
It's like a primary color.
How are you going to have red and not blue? Right now, Random Noob, though, missing out and tries to catch him on that one little moment. Special kind of moment here, though. You're seeing Random Noob wait on the Billow. There's not many places he can go. Luckily, he gets a heal from Mr. Hayes, but this just isolates Tolkien.
That's a heal not on the Tolkien.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens. They lose the point fight. So was it worth it keeping Random Noob alive? It's almost damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's almost like, just get out.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe leave. I don't know. Tough situation. SSG had already found the pick on the other side of the map under the bleachers. They're just winning all of the fights that are taking place. The 1v1s, the team fights, all of it is going SSG.
Man, Random Noob could barely turn his mouse before he was dead. That's how you know you're playing against a good Eevee player right now. Tolkien here, under the dome shield, trying to fight it off. It's 90%. SSG looking to take game 2. And Tolkien is going to have a little bit of a Hexafire to help. The Hayes, Mr. Hayes Dread Serpent to be exact, helps to clean up Aries and Rachel, but Sadok finds Tolkien, and they need someone to step onto the point, and all they have is Ruckus.
Straight up, if they didn't get that Hexafire right there, Envy would have lost the game. That was the first Hexafire that did anything at all, and it came at the most critical moment. So the clutch gene is still somewhat present in Team Envy. They are not going down without a fight here on Splitstone.
And you know what? They're trying to protect Random Noob right now, and they're doing a good job of it. Rachel uses the rocket boots to get in. That was a little bit of a risky play, but he had to do it because it's 99%, and they need overtime. Rock Monkey firing away from the top ropes, and has a little bit of a line of sight on FRZ God and Envy. They're going to take this one. Now they've got a chance to win.
I mean, it's a big domino effect, right? That flanker 1v1 is important because then the back line gets pressure from either a Xin or an Eevee, depending on who wins. Rock Monkey's relatively unpressured there. He's teeing off on the tanks. That's what his character is there to do.
Yeah.
Eevee isn't so great from that range,
Right.
trying to shoot down on a tank, which is what FRZ God ended up doing in that fight. So when all things are equal and everyone's allowed to kind of do that sort of thing, NVR is just going to have the better tank poke and the better point fight.
And Ruckus does do well against the Ashe, even in the shield. Once he has a little wrecker and cauterize, he's extremely tanky. That through time and space combo works really nicely, and they just isolate Rubu, don't they? And it also shows the ability for them to understand what are the important kind of drivers for Envy's success, and they've been targeting Rubu quite a bit.
Definitely. Falling apart a little bit quicker nowadays in these rounds. Ares' damage onto an R, that's something that won't fall off. Maybe just slightly.
Wow!
Like a bunch of Haven here. Country Sin. Is he running?
Is he
Country
hideout
Sin?
5? I mean,
don't
because
know.
that was a long time.
I have almost asked 3 different times.
Okay, so he probably is.
At
Let's
this point,
we got to take a look at that loadout. Hideout 4? Are you kidding me?
it's close. It's
Wow.
definitely close.
Listen, it's hideout 4, but it's 50% billow speed. It's a little bit more something, Nick. That's
Up
what
in
you were
smoke
looking
5. Yeah, it's just a very, very long billow.
It's a
And
bigger
that's
map.
changing. That's the big thing that's changing was in, so we'll see where he sits afterward. Maybe a little bit of a pinch here. FRZ guy getting bullied off of his positioning by Rubu, and now multiple people collapsing, but Rubu just has to call it off.
I mean, that one was, he clearly knew that was not the play, and Sadak helps clean up Rubu. It has felt like Rubu's been under so much pressure. He's just been trying to make things happen. Rock Monkey with a nice flank, though, gets a kill on the FRZ God. And now Sadak battling out with the front lines, getting support from Richal. He's poking out Rock Monkey, but Rock Monkey slides away and gets the kill.
It's like, you got to talk about FRZ God today because whenever he has a window, Rock is still showing up. He is still killing people. FRZ God is just screaming louder.
Right. And that's the thing. It's not about any of these players ever playing poorly. It's one player's greatness taking over against the other player's greatness, and that's what seems to be the recurring theme. That's why we were so excited to see the rematch, and it has paid dividends, hasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It has delivered thus far. Overtime about to tick away, and here's the dope show from Eric.
Smelling like a good ice storm, locks down a couple in the back corner, in the back of the head. Yet again, Random Noob gets shot. Rubu's falling lower and lower. No staggards today. They want to get these quadras.
I mean, he barely looked at where Rubu was. That was, could barely follow along with that. Making me question my own eyesight. FRZ got 28-7. Boy, oh boy, about to break 30 killing blows in a professional game.
That's like in vocal level. You're almost wondering how you haven't converted that into a win yet.
And I think it's just because MV are a great team, and they're playing around being a team.
Yeah.
And
to me, it's Tolkien and Mr. Hayes right now.
Yeah.
They're just buying stupid amounts of time with the Damba and Nar combo. It is very, very strong. You don't really pay a lot of attention to it, but that's really the underlying thing that I'm seeing.
And there could be this awareness that Mr. Hayes might just try to Dread Serpent him if he goes onto the Damba early. He's also staying in a protective space, but he might just be wary and going for someone who couldn't just CC him out of being able to play. An alive FRZ God is much better than one who tried to risk it all and died.
Ooh, Tolkien's getting aggressive here, but he's got his healing, of course. A lot of that is going to help Anar out. Or stay alive. Rock's very aggressive with this positioning as well. One more bolt from anyone. He has to give up the high ground. Now he doesn't have really that angle to work and shoot down into the bowl. He has to kind of play from the mid-tier.
Yeah, but Tolkien's still on the point, and Richal getting poked out. There's a Dread Serpent? No, not yet. Okay, the runaway. Thought I saw the animation there. 45% for Envy. Now Space Station's turn. They're battling away.
I think you push this.
And Richal found Tolkien. Yeah, he absolutely pushed it. 18% counting. They're trying to win their second game in a row. Richal with another. And now Envy, they're in trouble.
A little bit staggered out. Tanks are separated by about 5 seconds of respawn time here. Envy are going to have to give up another 30% before they're even in the conversation. They have a Dread Serpent, Hexafires, which have gone 1 for 4 this game. They have not been good. Up to the high ground.
He stunned him. He stunned him, and FRZ got it. Went right into his hand, and that's a kill on the Rock. That's a shoulder bash. Earthen Guard just to get knocked away from the point, or to stop that eventuality, but it doesn't matter. The Dread Serpent doesn't even kill Ares, and Ares gets the kill on the Mr. Hayes. That's surely it.
That's it. That is it. That is totally it. That's the time. Those are the moments that you're like, oh, you're just pissed that no one hit that final shot. It's not entirely on Mr. Hayes.
It might have been over before.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The stun from Ares, just barely getting the pick on a Rock Monkey. He wouldn't have been in a great spot either way, but that's 2 games in a row for SSG. Envy are falling, and we're all just left wondering, when will it stop?
Well, we're now on 10 maps where Envy have lost in a row since last week, and they're looking for the bottom of it. They're looking for where and how they can turn it around. It's hard because it's been 2 4-3s in a row now for them. Seemingly one fight goes a different way, and it could be 2-0 in favor of them here today. Fortunately, not in their favor at the moment.
I mean, that one, the first thing I wrote down, and I think it bears worth mentioning, was seriously, Freeze God.
Yeah.
Like, just look at him, highest damage in the game, but only by a little bit. Sadak, surprisingly
wow.
enough, actually the one right behind him. And that's actually what I think this is worth highlighting. First game, it was Freeze God. This game, admittedly, slash lines say 37-16, it was him. He was cleaning up a lot of the kills, though. Sadak
30.
and Ares, I think, were really kind of the guys behind the scenes, right? Where it's like they might not be getting the last hits, but they are doing so much damage along with him that the three of them combined were over 300,000.
I mean, you have to give, honestly, despite all of that, you have to give Envy props. The fact that you can take a 37-16 Eevee to 7 points, I mean, that says something. I mean,
you have to go the full game to make sure that you can finally win against this person.
Right. I think, needless to say, Freeze God's the one that we're going to look at after this one. So now the question comes up. 2 games in a row. It's been FRZ God. It's been the Drogos game 1. Now we're on the Eevee here, game number 2. I mean, what's the answer? What does Envy do about this?
And that's the big question,
well,
right? Because, like, what
nobody
do you,
has the answer.
Do you ban Drogos? Do you
Right.
ban Eevee? Like, do you ban both of them and then he just played Bomb King? Like, you hurt yourself banning those champions because to ban them means you're taking them away not only from him,
Right.
but from Random Noob.
Right.
You're hurting your own team's composition.
Right.
So the way they've been playing this has been phenomenal. Freeze got, again, it's a lot of kills there. Ares, I think, like I just wrote down, is shredding health bars, which
Yeah.
I think was an accurate way to put it. But Sadak was playing
Yeah.
just as aggressive, if not more aggressive, than any frontline I've ever seen.
Oof. Yeah, 147,000 damage on the Ashe. I mean, that's surprising for any frontliner. Ashe as well. 1.8 KDA, and I think that's a point you were making, is that, like, even though the rest of the KDAs weren't,
Crazy.
you know, as crazy, they're opening the doors for Freeze God to put on a 30-kill performance here in game number 2. Sadak, 147,000 damage, a big driving force, I think, in what we just saw at a Space Station. And kind of going back to the talk of, like, what do you do here for as far as the Eevee sort of Drogos thing? I mean, they banned out the Drogos, and then the question became, do we want to first pick Eevee? Because, well, we're trying to, the point of banning Drogos is getting Freeze God off of the Drogos, but do you pick away the Eevee to make him a little more uncomfortable? But that's not, like, the greatest first pick. And then on the opposite side, they're more than happy to take that away, knowing that he's going to be playing the way that he is. So in a way, it almost becomes a little bit of a chess move. But but at some point, you just have to accept, I think, that regardless of what he ends up getting put on, he's going to be really dangerous and hard to deal with.
And I think that's the key, is you're now looking not at picks and bans, you're looking
right.
at what do we have to change in game to just stop this guy from being able to do that. They're going to pull us, and this one feels very much, I think I said this last week when Envy did this, it's one map that they are comfortable with, but it also feels a little bit like a map where it's the same standard from what we had before, where it's, can we slow this down a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, we need to make it so that, in this case, Freeze God is not going to be as potent if we kind of limit it. Ice Mines is very limited. Blasters. Bomb King is a little bit more prioritized here. Drogos can play well, but it's not anywhere near the same as you would see on a map like what we saw earlier on Serpent Beach. Eevee could potentially play here, but again, not as easy as it's going to look as it just did. And that's why you see the Blasters kind of disappear from the bans. But will Envy first pick Bomb King? Is he that important to him? Because that's going to be the blaster, I think, that's going to make the difference here.
Haven't seen him come out yet. None of the maps necessarily super conducive to a Bomb King pick here.
Look how hard
it is going to be the pip.
I can
So they're going to
admire
go
that.
back
That's
to
a
the
good
pip
pick.
from game 1. And in an interesting way, I mean, these games have already been kind of slow. Like I said, we've had back-to-back 4-3s here, so it's not like Space Station are coming out and just mopping the floor with Envy. They're holding their own right now. The cards just really aren't falling on their side of the table, and again, the fact that they're able to put up that much of a fight against a 30-7 Eevee is something I think you have to tip your cap to. They take the Pip on the opposite side,
I
though,
like this.
and Nara Barrick.
And the thing is, this is playing a little bit of two roles. I'm not sure what exactly Space Station are going to plan for later, because Envy are in this position. They could still very much go for a Bomb King if they want to right now. But the thing about this is that they've already got the Pip. He's already kind of filling that role. That's going to go to Random Noob. I don't know, and I don't think Rock Monkey has a Pip in his wheelhouse. I know for a fact he does not have a Bomb King in his wheelhouse. So if they pick that up, they might hurt themselves more. But you get a Nara Barrick on the side of Space Station. You get the two best point tanks on a map that, especially in a set like this, is going to come down to a point fight.
Right. But then you look at the Evil Mojo. I mean, regardless of how tanky you are, a good double Evil Mojo turns you into a chicken regardless. I mean, the CC immunity could potentially come into play there for the Inara. I mean, lots of things do come into play, but the Pip is good at, I mean, again, the cards have to be right, but the Pip has something that can deal with the strength that the Inara and the Barrick bring. But again, that's kind of a conditional moment. You know, if the Evil Mojo's down, then truly, yes, you just have an Inara Barrick, two of the strongest point tanks, just hanging out on the point. The Damba and the Leon are going to round out the top 4 here for Space Station. So a very strong first 4 picks here for them. Envy are going to be looking to round out. They need a healer. They need a damage dealer as well. Presumably going to be a Random Noob Pip. So Rock Monkey is going to be looking for his choice here in this set, and it's going to be the Xin again, as well as the Grover.
This is something else I think that Space Station specifically have been doing well. And it's kind of Envy shooting themselves in the foot. They banned the Cassie because, well, Ares just played an amazing Cassie. But then Space Station just like, cool, we'll grab the Leon. Hey, Rock, your move. What are you going to pull? Like, you can pull out a sniper here. It's not the best. Xin is definitely probably, I would put maybe on his 5th.
Right.
If you put the 2 snipers above that, then the Leon and the Cassie. But it opens the door. There's no hit scan. There's no crazy pressure. And Leon thwarts anything from kind of changing that. So, I mean, Space Station grab the Bomb King. They're happy.
I mean, we saw 3 highlights for Freeze God coming into this. A Drogos, an Eevee, and a Bomb King. And now we have seen Freeze God play a Drogos and Eevee, and then this will be the Bomb King. 3 champions he's comfortable on, and you know, I think Envy probably saw this coming. They think they feel the Pip is more important of a blaster to pull out. They obviously think so. They first pick it. So presumably understanding that a Bomb King will be coming out, but Space Station Gaming look great right now. Envy looking to tilt a 4-3 in their favor this time on Ice Mines. Let's send it down to Evan and Nick to take it away.
It's Ice Mines, baby. Nothing like this type of music to bring you into the zone and to get you into the rhythm of a heck of a set between 2 juggernauts here at Paladins.
Looks like Ares has, or Sadak has convinced Rubu to, that slug shot is a thing.
Oh.
Did anybody vote Envy in our predictions? Or, I mean, the SSG?
I think I voted... No, let me think about this.
I think we were split Knights Renegades.
We definitely were. Gore voted SSG. Okay, it was only Gore. Yeah, well, look at that.
What a
beast. Beasting out.
Okay, one thing I do want to talk about, though, with these comps, I've been saying pressure is the most important thing in any of these PPL games. Envy have an extremely high pressure composition where they can command the battlefield if they want to. If they lose with this comp, then I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ice Mines, though, it's played a different way, and it's definitely Envy's pick, and there's been a lot of North American teams going Ice Mines. You know, they've been here with Renegades. Renegades have just loved this map. Everyone's been prepping for it. Have SSG done the same? I'd assume, but to the same level, we don't know. This is definitely a map, though, we could see hopefully swing things back in the favor, and if not, Nick, not even just losing on Ice Mines, losing 3 in a row, I'd be concerned there as well.
Tough stuff for sure. 72% for Team Envy before SSG even get back in the conversation, but they have already worked their way to a 40% lead and pick the healer.
He pushed him fully back. I mean, that was extremely far back. And this is a huge value presence, but he can't get it. Both shields blocking off the crucial damage, but the angle now exposes Ares a little bit. Rock Monkey going to pay less attention to that. He's going to go in, but he can't quite get the kill. He's in trouble, and he's forced into the billow, and this is where things could get heated.
All right, now we know ultimates are coming up. Dread Serpent nearly there. Look at the Enlightenment almost ready
Uh-oh.
as well. Here comes the fear.
And he's got to body block this. He needs one more shot. Rachao, can he get him? Oh, he looks to try, but Random Noob finds Ares, and it will then be an assert dominance away from the point for MV.
Ultimate's starting to continue to come up. Look at this. King Bomb ready to go. 99% for SSG. The 6-man is in play. 99% for Team
No
Envy.
way.
So much healing early in the game. This
Oh my
Bomb
God.
King lives.
Midtow, what a god. He needs to go into the
Wind
King
it
Bomb,
up,
and he's
brother.
going in for it. I don't see anyone who can burst him quick enough. He's going to hit 2, but he's going to get taken down as well. Rock and Random Noob come in at the perfect time. Another Evil Mojo. What?
What do you mean?
What?
Oh my goodness.
Ow.
Toki takes that King Bomb on the chin. And I guess top damage is out. And second in is Rubu as well. That King Bomb hits a front line, and stunning one front line is not the best case scenario for a King Bomb. There was more value maybe to be had somewhere else on the map. Rock rips through double kill for his Zen.
That's like a feels good Zen moment right there. You just hit that Yomi strike, you get the whirl between everyone. It's just about 2,500 damage in an instant. And you're doing it all in style.
Nothing is as good as Wildfire 5 Chronos 3 Zen just
of course.
whirling like a Beyblade through like 3 people.
Well, of
Yet
course.
to see it in competitive play, unfortunately, it never became the meta that I hoped it would. If there's ever a Death Ball meta, you best believe
Oh,
Zen's
man.
ready for it.
He is ready for it, and you know that billow speed as well. If things get crazy, he just does a 360 loop around the entire point while the tanks chase him around, and then goes right back into Beyblading. It's going to be one of the best clips in the world, I'm sure of it one day.
There it is.
Man, he's hitting these counters too, isn't
He
he?
really is. Mid-distance counters. This is collapse from SSG on the defense. I do not expect them to hold this at all.
This would be tough. He does have a Daba, and he does have the rocket boots, but they just lost too much too quickly. And Envy, we're going to take it 2-0, feeling so much better for the boys in black and blue here on Ice Mines.
This is a little bit more return to comfort for Team Envy,
Totally.
for sure. Pressure is definitely there for them. Toki on Nando was one of the few guys that ran the Nando in week number 1. Rubu on the Ashe. So much to be talked about in that team fight. We had Random Noob playing Zen earlier on Serpent Beach. Now it's back to Rock, which is, again, more standard for Envy. Random Noob's playing the Pip as well, which has always been a comfort pick for him and not something that we expected him to shy away from in this set.
You are correct. And has always been something, at least in Random Noob's wheelhouse, as a damage threat.
3, 2.
You know, Envy looking pretty good to start out this one. Resilience is bought up, and Rachao, he's into Resilience too. Obviously, a big thing for
Holy.
Space Station if it's going to be the Pip. In fact, no cauterize, no record, just Master Riding and Resi 2 for him.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta buy those utility items.
Be like that.
Make sure you can move around the map, not get CC'd. He lived the full 4-second chicken, but I mean, that's not something you expect to count on. You more often than not are gonna go down if you eat the full duration. Polymorph Rubu to the backline though. He's more concerned about this high ground. He's already baited out Enlightenment.
Ooh, and we'll see if he can finish it off. A little risky, but he found it, and this fight looks to be super simple for Envy. They had more pressure, more damage, more burst in every single category of this fight.
It's kind of funny because like you get pressure for like Victor to shoot or Kinessa to snipe, but this is just like everyone's getting pressure for the sake of pressure, and everybody just wins the fight. Everybody just holds W and wins together, which it's another way to do it certainly, but it's a funny way kind of to accomplish the same goal. Rock very deep here, simply trying to zone. Doesn't matter if he dies or what happens to him at this point.
Yeah, and I think they're fine. The only difference, though, is that you do want to keep this up if you're Envy, because the 4-0 is where you really want to end this game. It's so early. You're working with Grover. You're working with Pip, so you've got the double support going on. You know, less time for items to build up, less time for SG to figure it out, the better.
Absolutely. Definitely want to end this quickly if you can, especially with the momentum. This would be a perfect time to flip the momentum for Team Envy. This is their chance to get back into this set. It's not too far gone. It's not 3-0 here. They're not facing elimination. The pressure is starting to amount, but it's not definitely crushing them at this point.
I mean, you know, you're 2-1. That's no big deal, you know, and I think they know that. It's still very
Knights
important.
just did it 3-1 down.
Yeah, exactly, and it's still very important. You know, maybe Renegades aren't exactly SSG, but you know, as far as these two teams playing an opponent of equal strength, I think we saw something very similar. You're right, Nick, in that matchup.
It's a tough one to lose, certainly in the first set of the day, but all 7 games is certainly a treat for the audience and us alike. Had a lot of fun watching that one, and I've had a lot of fun watching this one today. PPL has just been so damn good.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal.
Every single week.
I mean, you know, it's hard to, you never really knew what the matches would be like with people at LAN. We had this expectation, but I mean, to be honest, it's even been better because it was hard to imagine because it never happened before. But it's just been such top quality entertainment. And the players have really taken onto it, and I feel like they've all grown a lot as individuals.
Definitely. It's a fun energy in the building here. LAN was always fun to have all of the friends in town, essentially.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of came out to play, and now it's just that way almost all the time. So we get to, and I was worried that it might make it less special, but a month in, I'm still having just as much fun as week number 1 here. What a fun time it's been in the Premier League. We still got another 9 weeks of competition for you before we start to get to the real meat and potatoes at the MSI.
And very, very excited here for Envy to continue what looks to be creating a much more interesting set than what a 3-0 might have been for SSG. Seismic Crash coming through for the Inara. It's not going to quite find anyone yet. Envy still looking very healthy. And basically, Mr. Hayes and Random Noob haven't been able to be killed. That's really the story here.
Do want that 4-0 though. The more and more I think about it, the more you're right. I want to see Envy put this game away right now.
Ooh, but this will be a big tell. How much was Grover here? Because you've got 2 damage dealers rotating, but Sadak finding 2 thanks to the pressure. Rubu is no longer on the objective. Have they bought enough time? Random Noob is here by himself trying to finish off Rachel, but she's tanky as ever, and now the Damba is back. This could be interesting. Evil Mojo, they really want it, but a Seismic Crash, that's going to stop a lot. That's going to stop a heck of a lot, and I think this is going to be a hold here. They gambled the Evil Mojo, and that's what's been changing the dynamic on these fights.
Bro, the boy who lived, that is Inara right now. My goodness, I don't know how Rochelle stood on his own 2 feet for as long as he did. Then Dama comes back out, gets insta-gibbed, and then he's still left out to dry. Just like, okay, I got it. This will be okay.
I think Rachel grew a couple extra hairs on his mustache during that point fight. He's like, yeah, you know, that was me.
You know, at the end of the day, you got to lean on the mustache. Whether it's Cuss Cutie, whether it's Rochelle, mustaches just signify strength and stability.
Strength, stability.
A 401k.
A 401k. A man who has a plan. A man who has decided on what he wants. And I think that's the biggest thing about mustaches. When you really do it, that is a purposeful statement to the world. And if you're trying to stop messing with these guys who don't know left from right and think they want to be party boys, think they want to settle down, find you a man with a mustache because he knows what he's after.
He shaved and left that.
He left that
big badass
on
mustache.
Purpose.
Decisive here is Rochelle on the front line, and our players have definitely been making their mark today. 11% to 15, nothing really to speak of yet, but Fast Cap is enabled for SSG in just 1 ultimate. I mean, both teams were throwing ultimates left and right to hold that defense.
And notably the way that FRC God is playing this fight, he's purposely really trying to hide behind these ice cubes, and Rock Monkey was the one who got aggressive, but this may actually haunt him because FRC God's going to get aggressive right back, and he's going to find the kill. He's in the back line. There's been no Evil Mojo, so this fight is not instantly ended for one of the frontliners. He's trying to dodge, and he actually gets away. Can he turn this around? No. But what has the relief of pressure from Random Noob done for this fight for SSG?
That's the question. They got to make something out of this. Sadak gets Tolki and escapes. Now they're back on the objective with comeback mechanic. Remember that. Look at how fast SSG are climbing.
And they're getting good damage here. And this is the thing. I think they're going to be able to find this. Mid-air. Rubu gets taken down. It was a risk for sure. These guys know how to aim. And it's now going to be Mr. Hayes highlighted. And he's going to be left hung out to dry. It should be Spacestation Gaming going 3-2.
There it is. Noob trying to get in there as well. Lightman rips through, finds some damage onto Fernando. Is the turnaround real, though? Immortal from Toki and an Evil Mojo just to keep Envy in it.
I mean, they found Sadak, and the way that Rock Monkey is playing, he's hiding behind everybody, and then there's the counter, and then there's the overcommit, and Envy, oh my god! Wow. Are you kidding me? Are they going to turn this around? They certainly will! SSG have it stolen away from them, and Envy get their first game of the set. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a good one.
Tolki is playing like a god right now. He played so well on Splitstone, despite, having some struggles there. Envy are staying alive. What a great performance from Fernando. That Immortal was on point. Not the highest tier front line, but my goodness, Envy sure make it look that way.
They forgot about Evil Mojo, Nick. They seriously forgot, and it hurt them when they lost Sadak. Send it back to the desk after we finish up Game 3.
And Envy win watch stalls out at 10 maps without a win. They find themselves their first win here in this set. They get themselves back on the right foot. The smiles back on the face of Tulky, and Envy looked like Envy of old a little bit in that game.
I don't want to be a naysayer for it, but I'm going to be, just because
Nay.
while they are able to come in and they're able to make that look good for them, how much of that is them playing that well against SSG, and how much of that is Ice Mines kind of playing for them? Like,
true.
one of the things about Ice Mines and what makes it so good, especially for someone like a Pip, is they're clustered anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to hit almost every Evil Mojo. Like, if your Evil Mojo misses, you're making a tragic mistake because it almost lines them up for you.
Yeah, I mean, a 0-9 Ares having a rough game there as well, but Tulky, kind of the guy who you and I here on the desk kept saying, and then they were saying it on the cast as well. In a way, they almost just kind of ignored the Fernando, and Tulky made him pay for it there with the double kill. And the rest of these fights playing that front line perfectly. The Evil Mojos stacking up and falling down. And obviously, we touched on this in picks and bans. We were like, all right, well, you give the Bomb King over, you first pick the Pip. So obviously, that's for a reason. You know they're going to get one of their blasters. It ends up being the Bomb King in this case. But the Pip, I think, really came into play. The Evil Mojos were on point, and the rest of Envy were able to capitalize.
And it was right there kind of doing both in tandem. You hit the Immortal, make sure everyone can stay alive and get as aggressive as they want, and you hit 2 with an Evil Mojo so you can just kind of collapse in. That point fight was, for all intents and purposes, Space Station Gaming's, except really, really good ult combos coming down from Envy.
Yeah.
And that kind of is something we talked about, I think, last week or the week before, where part of what they're looking for is not just how well are you using your ults, but how well are you putting them together. Like, if you have a Genos ult and you can get a stun with the Assert Dominance, hit the stun, hit the ult, you can get a clean kill off of that, and you have all of that pressure coming down from using both of those ults. So kind of using those in tandem, that's something that Envy has been doing really well, and I'm curious to see if Space Station is going to kind of pick that up. But there was a little bit of lack of follow-up for me for that game. King Bomb, there was a point where it got a couple of stuns and then never had any kills come out of it.
Right.
And I feel like when you look at the other side, if you have a King Bomb that's hitting and not getting any kills versus the Evil Mojo that's resulting in 2, 3, 4 kills every time it's thrown out there, it's going to skew on one side.
The scales tip in one direction there. But now, actually, for the first time, I guess after winning the first couple games, we have Space Station now in the driver's seat as far as what map do you want to take us to, what direction do we want to take this set. And I think that'll be interesting because obviously they got one of the first 2 picks early on in this set, but now we kind of get to start seeing where they're feeling comfortable towards the mid rounds in some of these games. And it is going to be, as I say that, it's going to be Fish Market. So they're feeling fishy going into map number 4.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there. I think, the maps that we didn't get to see last set, Fish Market and Timber Mill, both available for this one. Fish Market, since we're going there. Snipers play a big role here. Leon fills in that role probably better than you're going to see out of a Kinessa or a Strix. But this, to me, is kind of a, not even a flex, but this is we know Envy have the tools to make this map work for them.
Yeah.
We're going to try to pull those out from underneath them. The other thing that's big here, Zin can play well. Obviously, Leon, Cassie, the Snipers. But Androxus is a very good pick on this map. And we don't see him often. He doesn't come through a lot, but I feel like he might have a home here in this set somewhere. I just don't know which side.
Gore calling for the Androxus. Gore's kind of been the prophet on the desk here for us.
I don't know what it's been, dude.
You're smart, Gore. You just have to accept it. You're the prophet. The prophet Gore.
Trust me, I spend every day with me. I am not smart. That is probably the most untrue thing. I think actually the first thing my wife said to me today was, "You're being an idiot." Because and I can't even remember what I was doing. I was just doing something stupid.
That is true love. When she but it's like when she says it, but you know that there's love behind it. That's really
time to destroy.
That's at least half of our interaction is her calling me, saying at least something I'm doing is stupid. Because I'm gonna throw it out there. Most of the time, it's true.
Well, luckily you're smart here on the Paladins desk, and that's where it really counts.
That's the only place that matters.
Right. Well, what we do see now is Sadak getting his first ruckus of the series, presumably. No, he didn't have it last game, did he?
No.
I can't remember. I don't think he did. Maybe it was banned out, or maybe it just wasn't picked. But I think Sadak getting his first ruckus. We'll see that here today. Random Noob now hovering the Eevee. So we saw them elect not to take the Eevee away first pick. It was map number 2. Looking like they're going to do so now, and they are. So getting the blaster just out of the way, and then Tulki on the Inara as well. How do you feel about the Eevee pick number 1?
She's good here. I don't... Well, that's not true. I absolutely understand the necessity to pick it first, because there's that running risk of if we don't grab her now and get random noob somewhere comfortable, then Freeze God might run it. And if Freeze God runs it, then we're going to look at the 30-7 that we had a couple games ago. Like, you see that threat from Splitstone Quarry, and it kind of keeps you fresh. But that's where my eyes get turned, where Spacestation might not even be looking to run that. He has some other flanks in his toolbox that he can run through. Bomb King isn't necessarily known for this map. Drogo's I don't think of when I think of Fish Market, but both of them can function on this map. They can make it work. When you have a Genos Cassie and a Ruckus, you have the counter to the Ruckus, you have something to give the damage amp that we saw in game number 2. This is a start to success for SSG to me.
Yeah, I agree. No, I definitely agree. I mean, the Genos, actually, interestingly enough, has seemed less contentious than maybe it was in the last week. A couple games where he's not really picked or banned, kind of squeezing his way through. So some teams starting to learn, I think, how to play around the Genos pick. In this case, though, they're going to get it with the Cassie. That's a deadly one, too. And then the Ruckus as well on Sadak. So that'll be a fun one to watch. The Damba and the Ashe.
Stay close.
So a similar 1-2 stack to what we saw last game. The Fernando, though, not going to be here for Tulki. He's going to get the Inara instead, and then presumably Rubu on the Ashe. So I mean, I'm a fan of the Space Station lineup, but I think Envy have also drafted themselves a good 4, and then leave pick number 5 open as a potential counter to whatever they see come out over these next 2 picks.
And the one thing I think that has kind of gone, not necessarily unsaid, but I think needs to be outspoken, which is the impact Ashe has had. In a couple games ago, we saw what Sadak could do with it. Last game, we saw what Rubu can do with it. So both teams being able to pull that through and make a huge difference. And this one, we've seen her a couple times today. I had said Renegades was a team that always loves running Maeve. This is a Maeve. This is a good map for Maeve.
Do you think it's still the Cat Burglar, Maeve? I guess we just have to wait and see. I mean, both can work. Do you think it tends to lean one way or the other, though?
I actually wouldn't mind either. I think Cat Burglar, it depends on who
just
you're
different
prioritizing.
play styles,
like,
right.
If you want to kill off Eevee, Shaolin, Maldamba, then you're going to go for the Cat Burglar if your goal is to get into the back line. If you want to deal with the front lines, you're going to go Execute. But because you have a Cassie who can go big game, I'm thinking it's going to lean a little bit more towards the Cat Burglar.
Sure. Well, 5 up, 5 down for both teams. Game 4 ready to get set. Let's send it down to the casters to get this one started.
Pretty interesting stuff here, guys. I think when you're looking at the Cat Burglar for Maeve, you don't know if it's going to be Cat Burglar specifically.
No.
And I think one of the things we assumed was that it would be Street Justice. Earlier it was Cat Burglar. I still think there are a lot of great Street Justice targets here. So I have to see really what whoever ends up playing that, and it could be FRZ, it could be Aries. I'm expecting that to be him because Key to Victory, back in the Brazilian PGS, man, he used to play a ton.
Taking it way back now.
Taking it way back. Not a lot of people know about that one. He used to run a lot of the Maeve there. He was a very popular champion in Brazil.
I mean, at this point, Ashe, 3 viable legendaries, thanks to SSG coming out with guns blazing, no pun intended. Sadak, the guy, showing us that he can compete on any of the talents. Envy trying to bounce back. I'm curious to see what Maeve goes for. Artful Dodger, that was the flavor back in the Key to Victory days, I guess.
Man,
but
Artful Dodger.
That's not necessarily, I think, what we'd expect here today.
I mean, there was another one, too. I guess no, it was that. Rogue's Gambit, Cat Burglar, Street Justice. All of those. And Maeve, you know, with a little bit of a buff, right, that we didn't really acknowledge because she never was relevant, and it is Cat Burglar here for Aries. So he got the guy right, and that's definitely got the talent right. But she did get a little bit of a buff, you know, some of that healing that used to be, you know, more towards a legendary, really baked into the kit.
Yeah, she traded healing for damage reduction, basically.
Yeah.
Her damage reduction cards got nerfed. They're still, like, decent, and they're very easy to leverage. That's kind of the thing. It's just like, who's not going to pounce at any point, right? You're just going to get damage reduction for doing that. 20% damage reduction while prowling is a new one, though.
And it's actually a very nice card, given especially the way you're going to play Fish Market. Rubu is doing a good job of really corralling Aries. There's no way he can be. He got a little bit of burst onto Tolkien, and Tolkien's going to back off now, but Sadak finds Random Noob, so this is the same battle happening. The aggressive front line chasing the flank, but this one results in a kill, and this one could result in another one. Beautiful stun from Mr. Hayes, and another Midnight Spirits, but Rock Monkey, did he bite off more than he could chew?
I mean,
absolutely.
Clearly watched play like a pro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just took all of Rubu's
Clearly.
ticks and said, all right, okay, I understand now. Let me try. And, runs over Envy with Ruckus. Nope, nobody else really did anything there. That was pretty much all Sadak.
And I think maybe the flexibility. Wow, nice little soar into the blink there, trying to get the overtime. It will work. But it may not be enough. Look at Rubu as well. I mean, holy moly. Luckily, this fight has happened much faster than ults could charge. And just as we saw in early Ice Mine's lead, this one's an early lead for Space Station here.
Yeah, that was a cool. I always like those fights where ultimates do come up on that first point fight, because it's like not something you really plan for, and it's almost like you have to lay out your plot on the fly. Right. You never know quite how long these fights are going to go unless somebody just kind of takes it. Envy were off to an early lead, but they sort of left Inara on the objective, giving Space Station a technical 4v5 and ways to rotate around the map.
Yeah.
They were able to use it. I mean, right, Rubu rotates the same way Sadak kind of does. Sadak just got kills.
And you can see Random Noob trying to find something in the back line, but Ares, oh man, he finds more. And now he's getting body blocked here. He's going to activate the Prowl, gets a little bit of pounce damage. Rubu doing as best as he could, but man, that is about as good as asbestos in general, which is a very bad thing.
I was going to make an asbestos joke.
Well, I beat you to it.
And now...
And I'm like, Eevee, my own setup and my own follow-up.
Very well done. Masterfully put. All streaks, though, for SSG as they come roaring over the hill. Sadak doesn't care about this Ice Storm. He's looking for the 1v1 here. Finds the Rockets onto Random Noob. Sustain, though. Eevee's got it. Ruckus just has his shield, and that's already been burned.
And she's getting poked out now. And Rock Monkey coming over, but the Rockets do more damage, and now Ares just one shot away, and he just corrals them in. Space Station Gaming looking like a wolf trying to just, I don't know, make sure these sheep get back home. We don't wander off too far. RC God with 3. That's going to be a quick 2-0.
So a Bomb King, an Eevee, a Drogos, a Cassie. 4 games, 4 picks. Top damage.
Hard to ban him out.
I don't know. What do you do, man? What do you do? A killless round for Team Envy. Yikes indeed. This one could be over quickly here, folks. Nothing, when you have rounds this quick, nothing really changes. If anything, SSG are even stronger. They're getting to their level 2 offensive items or whatever else they're looking to buy. That's the type of round where Envy gets extremely behind in the item department.
And whereas we're seeing FRZ's seemingly limitless champion pool, maybe more of the direct counter or question is Rock Monkey is going deeper and deeper into a pool that isn't providing as much for him and his team. The Shaolin, Verdict's still out. We've seen it work for Invocal. We've seen it not work. And this one, it just really hasn't had any command. But, hey, it's Rock Monkey. He can turn things around in an instant. So we'll see how this start to the fight goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a newer school player. That shot's going to land there from FRZ. Got across the way. Rock Monkey silences the crowd and says, I got this, guys.
And they silence Sadak as well. So 2 big kills. All of a sudden, an Envy 19%, but it's Space Station who have control. They're not backing off as we've seen some teams do. Really, Fish Market's too big to fully back off. You kind of got to fight and try to show your teeth a little bit so they don't push you too hard and wait for your teammates to get back.
Oh, yeah, if you let them zone you out, you're done for. Comeback mechanic enabled as well, but Envy do not really step on the objective here. Rashao just gets right back on the horse. You can see Maeve just flying to the back line, but still wanting to put pressure on Inara, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, and Ares actually doing a great job because he not only gets the kill, he gets the cooldowns. And that was Shaolin actually focusing on the Maeve. Random Noob is in a little bit of trouble here. He finds FRZ God, and he finds Ares before that. FRZ God now looking to get 1, but Sadak finds 2. FRZ God gets a 3rd, and Sadak gets 3 as well. A triple kill from the leader in front.
A couple of missed shots there onto the Cassie. To be honest, don't know if that would have changed anything because the kills still come from Sadak at the end of the day.
Right.
But my goodness gracious, of a well-orchestrated fight from SSG, and frankly, I'm a little surprised that Envy don't get much on the objective despite the win in that early team fight, despite the comeback mechanic. They only got to about 30%.
Yeah, something is off here. But something is also on for SSG. And they did have a really great moment in that Ice Mines game where you thought, things are going to shift here, but they didn't. Envy were able to hold on. But this draft doesn't seem nearly in the same level of capability as that one. It seems to be shifting more and more towards Space Station here with 1:50 left. And the push about halfway.
That's a good poke onto the Genos there. I don't know if it's been communicated to Random Noob. Once his soar's up, or if his soar's up, I guess I should have said it, he would have been able to maybe chase that one down. Up and over the roofs. He's trying to keep these targets soft as they come around the corner.
And that 300, that extra little bonus health, it's a big deal for Genos, man. And he's been helping Sadak min-max this situation so well. And Evie, 500 is nearly 30% of her entire health pool. You got to watch out for those rockets. And Sadak just doing so much work with him, helping Rubu to get low as well. And he's got another emitter.
But Rock, my goodness, from the backside, Rubu buys him just enough time. Sean Boswell does the rest. Shot, this is there. In-air accuracy for Shaolin. You got to be toes on the ground. Went for the side. Wait, you heard that?
Yeah.
I heard that.
What just happened?
Ult's still fully charged.
Not sure what just took
Color
place.
me confused.
Confused.
There's so many times where Inara ults and you don't hear it in the spectator
It's
mix
making up for it.
that she just say, hey, you don't belong here, kid.
It's lost in the void. Imagine if that's how things worked, Wow.
Just comes back whenever it wants.
Yeah, exactly. At some point in time, that thing you said under your breath will get said out loud so everyone hears it, just at a random date. Toki finding a kill onto Ares here. That was the seismic crash for sure. And FRZ got able to clean it up.
Little something, little two something now. Rocco's down as well. Rashao is still alive. Deep up on that hill. Dropped his shield. Nice
Goodbye.
shot from FRZ God, but that is a big ultimate. That's going to buy plenty of time for Envy.
And he's got the big game buff. It will actually dissipate by the time Assert Dominance is done, but he'll have his disengage cooldown up again by the time that's done. So it's
And
not a good
Luminary.
situation.
1,300 a bolt, folks, and she's got 8 of them, dude. Come on.
Quiver.
Ripping these tanks to shreds. The pincushion is here. He's only concerned with the front lines. SSG, wow. Dear God, heaven, they curb stomp Envy on Fish Market.
And that's 3-1. As I said, it's where teams go to lose, and I've never been wrong.
Always a team losing.
Always a
Fish
team
Market.
losing. They're going to take maybe a little bit of a break here, of course, as we go back to the desk and break things down, but it is really just a dominating performance from SSG. Envy doing everything they can to stop the Avalanche.
Gore, that's a sweeping win there to answer back from Space Station. I mean, you have a tough game 3 on the side of Space Station, then answer back with a 4-0. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to finalize. I mean, they just played so well, and that's the 4th different champion now that we've seen FRZ got on, and the 4th different champion in this set where he's played pretty well. I mean, the Bomb King maybe a little flatter than the rest. It's not quite a 30-7 Bomb King, but he's shown that I'll play whatever.
He has the flexibility, and that was actually the last thing I wrote down there was the fact that it was, about, I think it's 1250 up to 1300 damage from those bolts every single time. And again, 8 of them that he can pump into you. Yeah, you can't kill a damage immune Ashe when she's in her ult.
Right.
You have an Inara that's ready. You have everybody else that is ready and waiting, and you can see him doing 81,000 damage. The next highest 52. So obviously being able to use that damage for good purposes. But the thing that kind of caught my eye, and I think the slash lines will probably show it, he's 9-1-9. Right above him, Sadak is 9-2-9. And there were so many moments where no one could really lock Sadak down. And when he did finally get knocked down, that one of those 2 deaths, nobody did anything on Envy to take over the point.
You know what's funny is we talk about Sadak finally getting on the ruckus, and we almost forgot that Ares is playing Maeve in this game, and he made it hurt as well. I think it was like a 7-2 Maeve that we just saw. So it's like, all right, if it wasn't the Cassie, then it was going to be the ruckus. And if it wasn't going to be the ruckus, then the Maeve was going to come in. That was well drafted, well played pretty much across the board there from Space Station. And now it's back in Envy's court. They are the ones now to be picking the next map, kind of trying to reel this one in, because it looked like they had found themselves some life there after their win in game number 3, but they lost all momentum that I thought they had gained in that last one.
And this is that one area where I don't know what map you can go to. You know, like there's a certain number, like Ice Mines is usually like the great equalizer. You can come into it and it will typically either go 3-3 or you know what you're doing. You get a draft that's good enough. You know, Pip does really well there. Bomb King can do really well there because everyone's grouped up. So the CC or the control is going to do really well.
Right.
But I think every other map that's now still available, whatever SSG have that's really good, Envy have that's really good. And the
That's
same
true.
thing in reverse. Like, this is going to kind of surprise myself saying this, but Timber Mill might be a good place to go for Envy.
Timber Mill.
Because I feel like while SSG can keep up with them in terms of the blasters, and that's
Yeah.
going to be a dangerous spot if you give FRZ God his Eevee, you at least give a lot of space for Rock Monkey. You can put him on a sniper, and he can feel very comfortable. And I think that actually would be one of their best bets to maybe kind of take this set and maybe take back control.
Well, Gore's calling for Timber Mill, and Gore is often not wrong.
Well, I don't know if they'll choose it. I'm just saying
No,
it'd be a good
he
place
is
to go.
predicting. He's putting all of his chips on the table. Timber Mill, I'm speaking for him.
All in.
But speaking of the all-knowing Gore, I mean, you were the one of the four of us to say SSG were going to win here today. What kind of drove that decision? I think you talked about it on Esports Weekly a little bit, but what kind of drove that decision, and are you seeing what you expected to see?
Honestly, it's a couple of things. Part of it is just the fact that I feel like SSG, and again, they're in that scenario where they are winning a lot of these games, even though they've been playing on 200 ping. Like, they're being able to keep up with a lot of these teams, even though they had everything working against them. And so I think that plays part of it, because now you're playing on 0 ping, you're comfortable with your team. And we describe a couple of teams like this, not every single one of them, but this team very much has a family feel to it. Like, they all support each other, like, wholeheartedly. The same thing can be said for Envy. And I think that Envy are coming into an area where they're not used to being, at least not as of late. They lost 2 sets last week, and I think that was an important thing because there's one of 2 paths that they can go down. There's come back, completely new, trailblazing, like ready to play whatever's going to get thrown at them they can handle.
Agreed.
And then there's this, which is I think what I kind of expected. And it's more of the same. You need to make the changes, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week.
Right.
It's going to happen over the next few weeks. It's going to see what can we have from Envy in week 6, week 7, week 8, not what are we going to see in week 4. I think tomorrow they're going to have a much cleaner showing, but I think this is the case of Kresnik joining SSG, SSG being comfortable, them kind of riding the hype of being able to come to the U.S., being able to play the game that they love, and putting all of that together. Again, a lot of shared champion pools between these 2 teams, and I think it's coming down to partially the mechanics, partially how great FRZ God has been playing, how great Ares has been playing, but also the coaches in the background. I think Metapusher and Kresnik are playing a very big role in this, in the sense that I think Kresnik is almost reading Envy like a book. Like, he knows the ending already, and he's just, you know what, we need to pick this here because this is something they either won't expect or they aren't prepared for.
Well, we'll see if they're prepared for on the Space Station side for Shattered Desert. But I agree with that. And I think it's kind of funny looking back at Kresnik's interview. You know, very, very unassuming kind of, you know, like, we'll come in here today. Like, hopefully we match up. Hopefully, you know, we've been able to watch them. I know they've had a tough time. Never going to underestimate them. You know, like, maybe we'll do well. And they come out in a huge way. They look incredible. And they're winning in a big way here. Shattered Desert is where we're headed for map number 5. We saw the Mave on Shattered Desert earlier, and Vocal played it to very, very good ends. He had some very good midnights that changed the game there. We saw that SSG are not scared to play the Mave, so it could potentially be coming out here again if that's the route they choose to go. But straying away from the blaster bans yet again.
If Mave doesn't get picked up by SSG, I want to say in their first 3, I expect Envy to potentially grab that. That's something we've seen Random Noob run in the past, and both of these teams I know were paying attention to the last set. They saw how well Mave worked on this. But I think, and this is actually funny because I think this is one of the only sets where this is going to make a big difference. I think when you look at like Envy and Na'Vi or Na'Vi and NIP, Barrack is probably going to be the biggest one that you're fighting over, Barrack and Nara.
Right.
I think for Envy and Na'Vi it could happen, but definitely Envy and SSG. Ruckus is going to be one of the only times that you see him going first, because whoever gets him gets a little bit of control, but that's why the Cassie ban is so important. Cassie has done so much against a Ruckus, and she does straight up counter him when it comes down to it with big game and a wrecker. So it makes it very hard for him to survive. Leon can fill the same role, just not as efficiently. So SSG scooping that up, again, it's kind of putting more pressure on Envy.
Well, they'll be happy, I think, that they grab the Ruckus and take away potentially one of his counters. Barrack Leon are going to be the first two. The Bomb King is coming out, which would kind of diminish the chances of Random Noob getting onto a Mave later in this draft. Presumably, Rock Monkey will not be playing a Bomb King if this is what they choose to lock in. We've seen Bomb King do well on Shattered Desert, so I think it's a good pick, and they get the Khan as well.
Yeah. We live in a world where Khan just went 5th.
I think the teams are just looking in so many different places. Khan's still available, so they'll grab him. Presumably, Tulki will be on the Khan with Rubu on the Ruckus. Random Noob looking at that Bomb King. So the door is still open here for Rock Monkey to have his pick. Genos, Space Station have proven and shown that they're willing to play the Genos, but the Xin making his way over to the yellow team, Gore.
And this is what I think is very comfortable for Space Station. Again, Bomb King's really good. He can perform well on this map.
Yeah.
This has been a map that we had kind of had it described to us as like a carousel. And I was looking at Pip originally on this map because I felt like something that people were looking at a lot. But Bitey had actually said earlier today when we were watching it earlier, and he tweeted out saying, I don't really like Pip on this map. And like he gave some pretty good reasoning behind it. It's just that there's a lot of line of sight breaks. The uneven ground makes it very difficult to kind of keep yourself under control. People like Xin, like Leon, like Bomb King, and like Eevee make it very comfortable. But
I mean, a
double blaster lineup for Envy is not.
I was here saying there's no way Rock plays the Bomb King. I mean,
burn these.
I think we'll assume now that it is Rock on the Bomb King and Random on the Eevee. I think that's probably closer in the realm of reality than what we've seen. The Mave as well. This is a weird draft here, Gore. If the Mave ends up getting locked in, I mean, I'll give you the floor. Quick thoughts on both sides. There's some interesting stuff.
I am very, very curious to see what Rock Monkey looks like on a blaster because I'm not sure I've ever seen it. But this is something that it feels like from Envy, this is a draft that would be this is what we've been practicing with in the background, and we're hoping we wouldn't have to show, but are pulling out now because, backs against the wall. Triple DPS doesn't surprise me. This map seems like it might actually kind of levy towards that. So Leon, Xin, Mave, I'm curious to see who's playing what, but I think SSG have a solid lineup.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you get triple DPS on one side, you get double blaster on the opposite side, and you get Shattered Desert to boot. I mean, Game 5 is already shaping up to be something that's interesting. I think Envy, they've been relying and leaning maybe on those comfort picks just a little bit too much. I mean, they're a team that can play any of those very well, but getting maybe a little bit interesting with things is the route that they need to go. Shattered Desert, I think, is a place where they can make it work, Gore.
I mean, there's a lot that can go up and a lot that can go down here. It's going to depend very much on can the Mave stay alive?
Well, lots to look at here in Game 5, but the ones with the pleasure of talking about it are Evan and Nick.
Thank you so much, guys. It's triple DPS versus double blaster. We've actually
most pure sense too.
Yeah, very, very pure. It'll be great to watch these two compositions go. I almost was like triple DPS versus triple tank. That would have brought me back.
Yeah, this is wild though. I mean, double blaster is very, very rare. Never really was a meta, just something. I can't really remember. I don't know why I want to say old NIP did this a couple of times. There was like a couple of moments where people were doing this. But that's neither here nor there. This is right now. This is the PPL SSG looking to take down the world champions in their first game.
And we nicked 5 games, 5 different champions for FRZ God, which is pretty outrageous. But all of a sudden, things looking good for Random Noob, who finds a couple. Rubu finds another as well. Aries, Hammer Chow, they do clap back, but they will fall back as well.
Yeah, at this point, FRZ God he's coming for Bugsy's throne.
Yeah,
most versatile competitive player ever. He'd have to play some tanks, I think, to fully take that role away from
Barrack.
Crazy stuff. Big damage from this Mave. We haven't even gotten to the point where we're talking about ultimates. Speaking of which, almost at 60% on the overpower, but 87 and climbing to 20.
And that is not what you want to see there as well. Rock Monkey goes down, but this just opened up so much for Sadak. Tulki trying to finish him off, but he doesn't have the wherewithal or the ability to be able to chase him down. The shield's just going to slow the inevitable, and there's no way he's making it out alive unless he gets a crazy heal, and he won't. And it's going to be 60% and counting for Space Station now with full control of the map.
Nobody really zones on this map. 3 DPS, got a little bit more range to play with. Ooh, not looking for it. A lot of poke coming out from FRZ God. Still has all of his cooldowns. Big strike on a noob.
Risky, too, because he could have gotten bursted in that little window. 900 health to work with. Could have came from anywhere, but nice Void Grip. Nice Enlightenment. Oh, he's going to make it out and be alive at the end of it. It's Sadak on the Leon flexing his skills, and SSG taking point 1.
I mean, after Envy win a fight, too, I don't want to call games before they're over, but SSG, I get very excited talking about them. They still feel like the underdog in this matchup, and this is an upset in my mind if they take this one.
You know what, and I think we've said that, but it's still because people can't believe that Envy have been losing lately. They've just gone so long without losing at all. It's just almost impossible to consider, but this is the reality of the situation. This is where we are in life. And maybe this also just says that if they played Renegades today, Envy might have taken the win, but because they're playing SSG, these guys are putting their name in the ticket for the best team in the PPL.
Well, they'll get the chance to play the Renegades tomorrow. Dome Shield comes down. SSG are going for the throat in round 1. Fear's going to spread it out a little bit, but it's a 1-for-1.
And Random Noob just trying to hold on. He's in that ice block, but he's barely going to come out. The damage in this fight, my goodness gracious. See you later.
I mean, yeah, dude. Like, Rubu just got melted there. I really did not expect him to die that fast. Everyone from SSG is on the top of the damage charts. The member of outside of supports has done more than the most damaging member on Envy, which is Rubu's Ruckus, who just melted to pieces.
It's literally being played perfectly, too, the triple DPS, the way that they're, all of those 4 DPS and kind of damage-oriented characters, even Barrick, a very damage-oriented character, I mean, up on the top, every single member of SSG aside from the support. And I just love the way these guys have brought new life into the PPL. Their first week, first game in.
4, different flavor, 16 streak for Midtow. Somehow involved in basically every single kill there. If a healer's healing somebody who gets a kill, that's basically it. They get to get the assist as well. Not ahead on the healing charts, but who cares when you are grabbing dub overpower? It's going to be good for 1.
And that's good, but is that who you wanted? Is that who you wanted? That's the question, because Sadak obviously is going to mean something to this, but a counter there is going to hurt Rock Monkey, who's playing the atypical Bomb King for his nature. FRZ God, this is a risky play because he may just be delaying the inevitable. Luckily, Rachao still on the point.
Paid off.
They haven't gotten him off, and now he's in the backline under the support. Oh, he catches it, the Yomi strike.
Bro, everything's going their way. Like, every little thing that could go their way. FRZ got skirts out of there, and then he has a huge Yomi strike. It's just like everything is coming up black and gold in this matchup. SSG are 1 push away from taking down Envy.
And Nick, it's not even 6 minutes gone by. It's not even 5 minutes of playtime gone by. This is Sadak. This is your tank player right here on the Leon, stunting on them. And I just love the energy these guys bring to the PPL. Seems like they are on a roll, and I don't see them being stopped anytime soon.
Oh, man, this feels momentum-y. This feels very, very hard to stop from Space Station Gaming. FRZ God, a different champion every game, 15 streak, having incredible game-changing performances on all 4 of them. Counter into the billow, but he's blind. Rubu can't see anything.
Oh, no. This Maeve is 200 IQ on this map, man. I think they were watching the sets earlier. I think they got some great awareness from what was happening. Whether it was the same idea at the same time or whether they learned from their other competitors in the PPL,
what the hell?
SSG are going to go with a 4-0, and they're going to win their set against Envy today.
It happened so fast. SSG came in and ripped Envy to pieces with the most pure 3 DPS comp on Shattered Desert. They make it look easy.
And they get their revenge from last year, and it's not really anything but smiles from those boys. A little bit disheartening, though, from Envy, now taking 3 losses here in the PPL.
That's not going to be easy for them. There's definitely going to be some tension in the Envy house, some talk that needs to be had. And this is where champions are made. This is the slump for Team Envy. Do not get it twisted. They have hit a rock bottom here, losing 3 matches in a row. Is that 12 maps total, something like that?
Yeah.
This is rough stuff, rough territory for them.
Not something that they're going to love experiencing now, but for both of these teams, this is just the beginning of their journey this year in the Paladins Premier League. Let's send it back to the desk and wrap up a tremendous day one and coming out party here for SSG.
Bit of sadness on the faces for the Envy boys. I think it's probably not what they hoped for today. Gore, I'm going to give you a chance to say I told you so. I already let you talk about why, but you can hit me with it if you want. I won't let you.
No, I'll be honest. Like it was one of those things when I was thinking about it that it was very much in similar veins as like the Renegades 9 matchup where it's just like no matter who you vote, you're kind of like just putting your neck out on the chopping block to see what happens. This one was very much like, can Spacestation win? Do they have the capabilities? Yes. Is it likely? I think the 3-to-1 odds actually were very accurate. I think Envy, admittedly coming into this week, had everything in their favor. It's just I don't think anyone could predict that kind of performance from Spacestation.
I mean, 10-1-9, 5-2-17, 3-0, 9-1-12. I mean,
like they're good.
Aries, the only one having, I guess you could call it a bad game, but he just turned heads and allowed the rest of his team to really just play well. Gore, always the humble man. Not going to say I told you so, but smart. You put your faith in the right place. You saw something in Space Station. I think we all saw, but the question was how are they going to be able to arrive? I think that's the question we probably all had was like, well, it's their first day. They've been moving. They've been delayed. They're finally here. How's it going to look? And I don't think even you would have expected what it is that we saw today because they were almost flawless. I mean, they had one loss, but
this is very much you knew SSG was a diamond, right? Because obviously they have done well in the past. They have always been a team that has been worth proving. It's just how polished are they? And they came in shining brighter than anything that I have ever seen. And like there's a point for that last one. I literally just wrote Envy who because they got melted so fast.
That was fast.
Like, essentially, they won a single team fight, and then every fight after that, they were almost perpetually staggered, perpetually losing. They were almost always just pushed down and burned down faster than I think I've seen a Ruckus die than anybody on that team die.
I mean, even the guy, even Nick and Evan were like, whoa, wait. What just happened? Are you kidding me? Like I'm looking to you to make a point, and then suddenly the fight's over. When I look back, they just look so good. Now really is a time where Envy like have to figure out how they're going to respond from this. So they go home. Maybe some tensions in the house. I mean, nobody can know what's going to happen except for them. But you come off now three straight map or game losses. I mean, you really have to come together. You really have to try to identify where the weaknesses are. I mean, it's easy for a team to kind of separate in moments like this. So they'll be looking really to come together.
And that actually, I think, is a good time to pluck a quote from their documentary where Random Noob was saying, one of the things about a good team, and specifically because it was Envy, was you're not just a team when you're winning all the time. You have to be a team when you're losing all the time. And that's what I expect. Like, I think tomorrow they play the Renegades. It's going to be I'm going to just have to say it this way, an easier matchup for them. It's going to be a little easier for them to beat through that. So I expect to see them kind of pick themselves up. They've had tough opponents last week and this week. Right. So I expect them to pick themselves up, being able to come in tomorrow feeling fresh. Sure. And Meta Pusher is going to be doing homework. I can guarantee, he's going to go home right now, and he is going to be watching every single VOD that we just, a VOD of everything we just watched, listening to the casters, putting in his own perspective, writing down drafts, anything new, watching over that 4-3 that happened earlier, and he's going to figure out what's up.
Right. Well, the big winners on the day, obviously, are Space Station. We have a couple of the big winners from the team standing by for an interview, so let's get their thoughts.
You guys have been here 48 hours pretty much at this point. It's crazy that what you're able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Yeah. I don't mean to make it about Team Envy, but you guys had a war with them in the semifinals of the World Championship.
Yeah.
Did that feel like the same Team Envy?
Not at all. They feel like I don't know what changed, but not at all. Like they felt like a different team.
So for you guys to come in and quickly, Sadak, you specifically, you pull out Slugshot Ash, almost top damage in the game with it. Is this still that little bit of flavor? Because nobody's really split by regions anymore. We got Europeans, we got North Americans, we got Brazilians, everybody from LATAM. What is the meta right now? Is it locked down in any way?
The meta is whatever we're good at. So it's basically if we feel comfortable playing Ash Slugshot, we're gonna do that. We don't really care about it.
As a team, do you guys, look at the next step of the PPL as kind of like we are here and still growing as a team, or do you feel like today was a really good representation of where you're already at, the progress you've made and what you've wanted to show to the world?
We still have a lot to figure out. I mean, we just got here for 48 hours, and I think for the fans, the next couple weeks, we're gonna be even better. And we don't even know which level we can get, but it's gonna be a big one until the end of the PPL. So expect us to be at the top at the end.
Well, we're excited. You guys gave us quite the show, and we cannot wait to see more of you. Congratulations on your win today, and we'll let you go hang out with your buddies over there.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Bye.
Well, thank you for them sitting down with us. And now, Gore, that is, I think, the second or third team that said, we expect to be at the top at the end of this, and probably the second or third team that's shown like they could end up at the top at the end of this. They looked great today. They had high confidence coming into it.
I've been saying it, and I think this is still going to hold true. The top 6, maybe 7 teams are like all going to take games off of each other. If Renegades can continue the path that we've seen, if they can kind of keep cleaning themselves up, then I see this being the top 8 teams. All teams in the PPL can take anything off of each other. It's definitely the top 6 right now. I think Kanga is probably at the bottom of all of that, but
it's also close.
That's saying something when it's like, okay, well, NIP right now is at the top, Kanga's at the bottom. The gap between them is not large at all. So 6 teams that can just go in and potentially come out on top, and then 2 more that can be added into the fray. Just if they shape up a couple more things, it's going to be nutty.
And that first matchup of the day really showed us that. We'll take a quick look at the standings here after the matches, but the first match of the day really showed us that. I mean, you can see here how everything's starting to pan out. Spacestation still technically undefeated. NIP, the only one with multiple games under their belt, still undefeated. Na'Vi, Virtus Pro, Envy, Kanga, Pittsburgh, Renegades are the way the rest of the standings go. But looking back, match number 1, I mean, that goes all 7. And I think you just said it well in that. I mean, the gap is really, I think, closer than probably a lot of people think. I mean, that first match really could have gone either way. I think Renegades could have ended up pulling it out. I think Pittsburgh obviously ended up pulling out the win, but that was a grueling 4-3 that both teams. I think there's good to be taken away from Renegades. There's good to be taken away from Pittsburgh. And then obviously our second set of the day where Spacestation came out, and I think surprised all of us. And
blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, even if you were thinking the Spacestation was going to win, you weren't thinking 4-1. You were thinking 4-2, 4-3, maybe.
And then, as well, looking into tomorrow, you have Spacestation taking on Pittsburgh, Envy taking on the Renegades. So 2 teams looking for a win this week, 2 teams both with a win already under their belt this week. So tomorrow definitely will be interesting. I think tomorrow we're talking about kind of the skill gap that we've seen, a lot of these teams being closer than maybe a lot of us expected. I think tomorrow's going to be another good day. We saw some last week. Tomorrow's going to be another good day, I think, to see kind of where these teams are going to end up falling.
And I think it's also, if there's going to ever be a showcase between like the top and the bottom, right, where the big difference could be, it's going to be tomorrow. I think Envy and Renegades is definitely a match that skews one way. I honestly think Spacestation and Knights, it's closer than you would think based on the way the Knights reacted to their loss or their win today. Even though it was a win, it didn't feel like they were very excited about it. So I think it's going to be a little bit more, but if Spacestation keep playing the way Spacestation is playing, I'm not sure they're going to be walking away happy tomorrow.
No, I don't think so either, but it was a wonderful day here of the PPL. You had a big win for Pittsburgh and a huge win here for Spacestation. So lots of fun action to watch today, but we have a lot of fun action to watch tomorrow, 1 p.m., same place. But that's going to do it for us here today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow.
Skillshot, High Res, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.
And if the sky falls down on you, just beat it up before we collapse.